cooperation between ICE, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Texas Department of Public Safety.
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrials currently down 187 points. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Mostly sunny, 54 degrees at 3:03. I'm Laura Oakes. A warning today from new U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi to Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. In a letter, Bondi says she has put Minnesota on notice over its plan to not comply with President Trump's executive order that bans transgender athletes from participating in girls' and women's sports. Ellison says complying with that order would violate the state's Human Rights Act.
Because I'm the Attorney General, because I'm a lawyer, my whole life is defending and filing lawsuits. So when somebody threatens a lawsuit, I'm like, okay, it's Tuesday. So what? Personally, I think our case has a lot of merit. I think we will win, and I look forward to the challenge.
The city of St. Paul, meanwhile, is joining San Francisco in suing President Trump over an executive order that threatens to withhold more than $200 million in federal funding for the city. The Trump administration contends that St. Paul's status as a sanctuary city interferes with the federal government's immigration enforcements. The suit follows Trump's calling Mayor Melvin Carter and other local leaders sick politicians for not cooperating with deportation mandates. Carter tells WCCO's Adam and Jordana the president's name-calling would be laughable if the issue weren't so dangerous.
We have children in this city who have grown up in St. Paul, who know nothing but America, who are afraid to go to school because they're afraid of some roundup happening. And so, we want to make it clear to the president, but much more important, we want to make it clear to our neighbors that, our city employees just will never participate in some ridiculous roundup like that.
The Minnesota Supreme Court ruling that a Minneapolis charter school is liable after it was accused of negligent hiring.
A former student at Harvest Best Academy who was sexually abused by Aaron Harmstead, a physical education teacher and coach, sued the school, claiming the school should have never hired him because he failed to complete his application and did not list references. The suit also says the school should have known that his contract had not been renewed at another school because of sexual assault allegations there. The lower court ruled that the school was not liable because the decision to hire an employee was a planning level policy decision. But the high court reversed that ruling, opening the door for other schools to be sued for hiring staff who sexually abuse students. Susie Jones, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz confirming he will not be running for United States Senate, but he does say he is still exploring the possibility of running for another term as governor. As we drip through the day above 50 degrees, a reminder to get those fish houses off the ice. But despite only a few days left in the season, WCCO Outdoors host Rob Drieslein says it's still prime time to get in some last-minute fishing.
Panfish, crappies, perch. This is really some of the best ice fishing of the year for those species. And then, of course, you got places like Lake of the Woods. That's an important border water where the walleye season is open until like mid-April.
This coming Monday, March 3rd, is the deadline to get all ice houses off the ice in the southern 2/3 of Minnesota. WCCO News Time is 3:06.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Drive is good as you cruise across town both directions, running at the posted speeds as midway between Cedar and Highway 100. Eastbound 494, some slowing right around 100 itself. Loosens up once you get past 35W. If you're traveling up on the north side of the Metro, 10 westbound cruising at the posted speeds is moved between Highway 65 and downtown Anoka. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
More than 15,000 Minnesota students are part of the Wild About Reading program, encouraging students to read more using Minnesota Wild branded posters, reading logs, and bookmarks. It's all supported by Flint Hills Resources. Go to wild.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Brought to you by Flint Hills Resources, partnering with the Minnesota Wild on the student literacy program Wild About Reading. You can learn more at wild.com. And here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
After our warmest days so far this year, we'll cool down for the next few. Mostly cloudy down to 33 tonight, 47 tomorrow. Still above average, but it's going to be breezy. Northwest wind 10 to 15. Flat out windy on Friday. Talking about winds gusting over 30 miles per hour. We should hit 47 and then cool down this weekend.
Partly cloudy right now, 54 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Information that leads to conversation. What to know and how to think about it. News Talk 830 WCCO. Buckle up. Time for the ride home and the chance to get caught up on the day's news. Plus, whatever else he wants to riff on. This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Here's the star of the show and your host, Jason DeRusha.
Are you ready? All right.
Now live on your radio and streaming to the world at WCCOradio.com and the Odyssey app. Here's Jason DeRusha.
Here we go. Welcome to Drive Time with DeRusha. What a beautiful day again here in Minnesota. Absolutely gorgeous. Meteorological spring starts in just a couple days if you're a big fan of weather record keeping. I tend to be I'm more of an equinox guy, you know. But this is exactly what you'd expect from the lamestream media, right? Like trying to play it both ways, or maybe it's my slant, my overwhelming slant. We start today talking about the media and whether there is any media right now that you consider truly unbiased, independent, and worthy of your trust. 651-461-9226. Or is this just an outdated, dead idea that there would be an unbiased media? Because the reality is, I believe many Americans, maybe most Americans, have decided that all of it is a load of crap, that all of it is biased. Now, I spent 25 years as a television news reporter. I'll give you my perspective on this. But it's really up to you. Normally, I'll start a show with a strong opinion. My strong opinion, is the media biased? And my answer is yes. The media is and always has been biased. But the main goal of journalists back when I was doing this was to make sure that your personal biases did not show up in the work product. So you knew you had bias because you're a person. Everybody has biases. But being a professional journalist is about filtering that out and being focused on being fair. And today I see far too much of a focus on having the hot take, having the sarcastic barb. The personal bias shows up in so many different categories that my old justification of saying, well, look at the work. Tune into the news, the nightly news, tune into the cable news, recorded story, tune into the local news at 10. And I would say, like, look at the work product. Does that really seem unfair or biased to you? And the answer for me used to be no. The answer for me today, I don't know. Two things in the news today that got me thinking about this. And I'd really love to know who you think is worthy of your trust. And then we'll have some fun as I'll evaluate whether or not you're nuts. Because most of you want biased media. Most of you want biased media because you want to hear that you are right. So if you're on the left, you want to hear how smart you are. If you're on the right, you want to hear how smart you are. And no one wants to have their opinions challenged. And no one believes that there is a objective fact, which is partially your fault as a consumer, that you've gotten sucked in by so much opinion that how much of the mainstream media are you actually consuming? So you've got it in your head that you got to hate them, that they're awful, but are you really watching it to know what you're talking about? Probably not. So that's part of my view on this. Boy, and then part of me thinks that there's way too much of a desire to get that analysis done as a reporter. And it's hard to get by when you think about the White House correspondence. It's hard to get by the fact that Joe Biden was clearly in decline. And until he showed up on that one debate night, and all of us saw it for ourselves, that nobody in the media really shined a light on that. Makes you wonder, right? Now, I don't know how much of that is political bias versus how much of that is you're surrounded by his people and they were all lying to the media. But I do understand when people are like, look, if the White House press corps couldn't be revelatory about the fact that the president of the United States was being propped up almost in a Weekend at Bernie's style situation, then why should we trust anything? I do think there's a negative to that approach, and we'll talk about that as we go on. But let's get your viewpoint on who you trust. Do you trust anyone? Is there any such thing as an independent media? Let's go to Dave in Minnetonka. Dave, thanks for calling CCO. What do you make of all of this?
So I am extremely frustrated with media. I've been frustrated with media for quite a while, ever since they started slanting, which is what you were talking about. What happened to the good old days where media was supposed to report down the middle? Yeah. Don't have an opinion. Report the truth. I think 99% of the people are so upset with media is because it's slanted and nobody has an honest opinion, and that's why they don't trust it anymore.
So
because it's one way or the other.
Yeah. And I'll say, Dave, like, you know, I've spent some time. Part of what happens is there's so much media. It's on all the time. So you watch CNN and you're like, oh, I'd like to know what's going on at the White House today. And instead you get 3 hours of people blah, 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 blah with their analysis of stuff. And you're like, do you have a reporter working for you guys? Like, could anybody tell me what's going on? Who do you watch where you see the slant, where you're disappointed, where you think like, oh, it didn't used to be like this?
Well, it's the far left and the far right. Is there anything in the middle anymore?
I think the legacy media. I think the legacy media is trying to do that. I think they think they're doing it right. The ABCs, the CBS, the NBC, the big papers like the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they're trying to do it. I don't know how well they're succeeding.
Why do we have to fact check? Help me here. When was the last time back in the day, and I'm sorry to use that phrase, but back in the day, did you ever hear, well, we need to fact check that?
Yeah.
Did you ever hear that? No.
Yeah,
because the media's responsibility was to report the facts, not opinion.
Oh, Dave, you brought up one of the issues that I raised when I worked over at Channel 4. The audience loves fact checks because they love to either be validated that their guy is telling the truth, or they love to be mad, right? There's a certain amount of people that sort of gets off at being mad at the media. So that's the fact check thing. My concern was that, like, are we losing the reporting about what these, like, especially candidates, like what they actually think about the issues? Because all we're doing is fact checking. And the truth is there's so much content out there. You're always going to find somebody shading the truth, or somebody's partially lying, or somebody's exaggerating. That's sort of the nature of a campaign. I share your concern about fact check. I think part of this was this idea that came around that the media should be reporting truth instead of reporting facts. So there was sort of a pushback about the, like, well, is it fair to tell like two sides of a story when like there really aren't two sides of a story? Some things are either true or not. But
that's just it, though. But fact is fact. There's no truth to fact. It doesn't lie. Truth, who's true?
Yeah. So well said. Very good. Thank you for listening. Thanks for chiming in. I appreciate it, Dave. 651-461-9226. Jason, I think the current media doing well right now are the independent networks. So we have a lot of these independent content creators. We have Chris Saliza on the show a lot, and Chris is one of those guys. This texter said, like, Brian Tyler Cohen, the Midas Touch, the David Parkman Show. Another person says, I might consider this take crazy, but the New York Times did have a front page story about Biden's mental health decline for at least 2 years. Yeah. Now another texter saying the quote unquote media still allows Trump to lie 25 times a day, rarely pushing back. What is the difference? So this is the problem with you guys, that if you're on the left, you just want the truth to be reported, but you also want pushback. I would like to see fact-based reporting, and then we can figure it out. I know if he's lying. I do not need some stuffed shirt, blow-dried, makeup-wearing TV correspondent to tell me if it's a lie or not. Tell me what he said. Tell me what the context is, and then let's use our brains. But I don't know that that's a popular position right now. Let's break. When we come back, I'll talk about two big developments. One, the White House is looking for the first time, I think, in modern history to decide who gets to be in the room, who gets to be traveling, covering the president. Some concern about that. But part of it's also a good idea. And then the Washington Post with a radical change in the way they are doing opinions. Pretty interesting stuff. We'll keep the conversation going. Lots of great texts. Keep it happening at 651-461-9226. We are streaming on YouTube as well. You can watch our show at any time and chime in the comments if you subscribe to the WCCO Radio YouTube channel.
Jason DeRusha and DriveTime needs to make a brief pit stop on News Talk 830 WCCO.
No bias here. Go to my Instagram page and take a look at some of the clothing that you can get at J.H. & Sons at the Galleria. It's Jason. For my friends at J.H. & Sons, the people over there are so good. And the Halberstadt family has been a part of menswear in Minnesota for more than 50 years. Incredible family. You're going to love Jeff Halberstadt. You're going to love J.H. & Sons. They started serving men in St. Cloud 50 years ago. You're going to meet Kevin or Chuck or Bryce or Dean when you go to the Galleria, and it's going to transport you back to a time when service meant something, when people were taken care of, when you got guided to something that would look good for you, and then a tailor comes out and makes it fit you just perfectly. Lots of new spring fashion in. I'm modeling some of it at Instagram at DeRusha, so go check that out. But better than that, go to the store. Go visit J.H. & Sons. Let's bring putting a nice suit coat on. Let's bring it back. Let's bring back dressing up to go out to dinner. Let's do it with some help from the experts at J.H. & Sons.
You wake up feeling like you just boxed 12 rounds. Some wake up sweating with sore jaws, headaches, and a lot of our patients complain of brain fog. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula, and these signs, often joined with snoring, are sleep apnea symptoms. And if this sounds like you may have been in a struggle last night between you and this serious disorder. Many people aren't willing to fight back. But the fact is, you can't go through these nightly struggles without ramifications that each night chip away at your life's expiration date. I get it. You don't want to wear a CPAP mask. You may find out you don't need one. We have every effective sleep apnea solution available. And believe me, the mask is the last resort.
It's time to take action to stop your sleep struggle. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Results may vary. Most insurance accepted.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
What if your business could see beyond what is and into what can be? What if you could create more impact in every decision? What if you had a partner as visionary as you are? With Bank of America, you get access to our trusted experts, real-time insights, and digital tools. So whether you run a local shop or a global enterprise, you're backed by business solutions to make every move matter. What would you like the power to do? Find out how at bankofamerica.com/banking for business. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 40-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term life insurance may only cost you about $100 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-353-9057. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Providers help thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-353-9057. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-353-9057. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. For affordable term life insurance, call 800-353-9057, 800-353-9057, or biglou.com.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
This is not bold. It's stupid, buffoonish, childish. This is just amateur hour.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
A straight news channel a la Cronkite, Brokaw, Jennings would be dead last in the ratings now. It wouldn't work. People want to be either validated or pissed, says a texter. We're talking about trust in media. The data isn't good, and the actions today have me even more concerned about kind of where things are going. So the latest survey showed that trust in the media is at historic low. No one trusts the media. Now, people ripping on the media, whatever. And by media, like that's another challenge in this conversation. I will say when I'm talking about media in this context, I'm talking about media, legacy media. I never know what to call it, right? Because mainstream media, what does that mean? So I like legacy media. You know what that conjures up the big ones. ABC, CBS, NBC. Maybe you throw in CNN and Fox. And then the big newspapers and the wire services. For the third year in a row, more U.S. adults have no trust in the media. 36% of U.S. adults say they have no trust in mass media when it comes to reporting the news fully, accurately, and fairly. That's amazing. The people with a great deal or a fair amount of confidence is 31%. Youch. I will say this. I think most of the people who are the biggest critics of the media don't watch a lick of the mainstream media. You're reacting to Facebook posts and Twitter posts with some clip of something that is objectively bad. But media is reporting a ton of stuff. This is my main issue with the criticism about media. It's not done. It's done like it should be. You guys are normal people. You have a real life. You don't have time to consume everything. But you're left with no real context. Like, is the media doing a good job or are they not? If you're not watching the main nightly news or you're not reading the main newspapers, you be honest. You're just reacting to whatever someone who's pissed off puts out into Twitter. So how do you even know? Texter says the national evening news on your local on-the-air channel is as unbiased as you can get. On the other extreme, Fox News, OAN, and the plethora of radical right-wing news networks are totally biased. So a right-wing person would say, well, that's exactly the point, that if you're putting the mainstream media on what the unbiased side, the right wing is saying that's because those are left-wing media. I do think when I watch the major networks, generally speaking, I think the major networks, White House correspondents, are pretty unbiased. Now, does story selection affect? Does that have bias? Yes. And again, like I said, everyone is biased. It's about whether you can keep that bias out of your work. If I ran a news organization, I would take social media away from every single one of my straight news correspondents. Or I would put an editor in place where before you post something, it has to be edited. And this is as a guy who built 80 or 90,000 followers on X back when it was Twitter as a mainstream news media member. But I had a censor where I was careful. My wife would talk about how I would send out a tweet and I would type and then delete and then type again and delete and type again and not send it because I was careful. I don't know that it's as careful anymore. The two things that happened today. One, the press pool at the White House is being opened up. Oh, man. On the one hand, I do think allowing more voices access to the White House press room is good. We get new, you know who's one of the outfits that's getting access that didn't have it before? Axios, the newsletter people. Great. Axios should be in there, but there are only so many seats, so somebody's got to go. So they're knocking out some of the press pools, the Bloombergs, the Associated Press. Now, if you think Bloomberg and the Associated Press, like these kind of main press pools, are biased, I think you're nuts. I think overall those organizations are pretty good. Can you find one example? Yeah. Yes, you can. That doesn't prove it. Newsmax. Should Newsmax be in? Should Blaze Media be in? I guess. Why not? If we're allowing HuffPost in, which was left wing, if you're allowing Politico, which I think Politico is, I don't know, they have an edge, but like, I don't know. I guess I just wish people would read more and then make up their mind. And instead, people want their own opinion fed back to them. And if they don't get that opinion, then it's biased. Oh, it's biased. Is Nora O'Donnell, was she unbiased? I guess my pushback would be, is the White House correspondent's story on CBS Evening News, is Major Garrett, is his story a problem for you? And can you give me an example of that? I just think, I know it's easy to dismiss and say there is no independent, there is no unbiased media, but consider where this ends, right? So you got Trump picking who's in and who's out of the White House press corps. Today you have Jeff Bezos, owner of the Washington Post, saying the opinion page is no longer going to be a page where a wide variety of opinions is highlighted. Instead, it's only going to be focused on personal liberties and free market. Sounds like a libertarian / right-wing approach. And they won't publish anything that opposes that idea. His point is fascinating, where he says there's a diversity of opinions online. So we don't have to offer a broad-based opinion section. Both of these moves separately are steps towards a future that I think is troubling. Yes, I think you should watch and read news media that aligns with your views. I also think you should watch news media that doesn't align with your views. And I do think there is still a place with albeit flawed, but a place for an effort to have journalists who are trying their damnedest and have editors who are trying their damnedest to be fair. Unbiased is a farce. Fairness is a goal that I think you can get. That's what I would like to see more of. Let's break. Hour one of Drive Time with DeRusha continues with news about the budget cuts that came from this new budget that was passed out of the House yesterday, and the impact already that local hunger relief agencies are saying it's going to have. Kind of shocking cuts to a safety net at a time when we all know what grocery prices are. We'll talk with the CEO of Second Harvest Heartland in just a minute here on Drive Time.
Don't touch that dial. More Drive Time with DeRusha coming up on News Talk 830 WCCO.
I had to step on a scale today. There was a time in my life that I would have been looking for every excuse possible to not go in and not step on a scale. This morning, I went to Coon Rapids to see Michelle, the head nutritionist for Livia Weight Control Centers, and I stepped on that scale, and I am actually a couple of ounces, right? But I'm a couple of ounces below the lowest weight that I've been on since I joined Livia 2.5 years ago. 45 plus pounds gone. And most importantly, like losing weight, you can lose weight. But keeping it off, that's where Livia makes the difference. Livia's been achieving results like I've had for 15 years. And right now, Livia is celebrating their 15th anniversary with a massive sale. 50% off Livia's award-winning nutrition program, the most competitive GLP-1 medication pricing too. Get 50% off today. I guarantee you this offer is going to end soon. I may have some inside information. So let's go. Visit Livia.com, Livea.com, or call 855-GO-LIVIA. Do it today.
Thought-provoking.
My problem is with a society where we need to lock up toiletries.
At the end of a game, you shake the opposing team's hand.
Compelling.
This district-wide policy for cell phones, I just wonder how parents are going to handle it. They're the ones texting my kid during the school day.
Kids eating for free at school makes sense.
Challenging.
You know what's not effective? Having kids steal cars and then releasing them the next day.
Intriguing.
Stores drug check potential employees, but any loser can use self-checkout.
News Talk 830 WCCO.
Ever feel like there aren't enough hours in the day? If you get busy or miss your favorite show, don't worry. With Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app, you can stream your favorite shows on demand. You know your day is better with us. Get the news that matters to you from the local voices you trust. No matter what you're up to, give it a try. To get started, download the free Odyssey app and search for your station. That's AUDACY.
At the University of Minnesota, our goal is to make sure what happens in Minnesota doesn't stay in Minnesota, because the discoveries we're making have implications for the health of the world. From the cancer-detecting AI model we built in Rochester, to how we're redefining mental health in Morris, to breakthroughs we're making in Crookston, Duluth, and the Twin Cities. Our discoveries start here, but they make the world healthier everywhere. The University of Minnesota, driven to discover.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Brought in part by Treasure Island Resort and Casino. Going to find an accident clearing out of the way for East 94 near Brockton. Activity out to the right side. Looks like there might still be one vehicle in place yet, though. As you make way through the area, get ready for slowdowns. North 100, watching slowdowns there. County Road 81 to 94. If you're going to be traveling Highway 10 westbound, a little bit of congestion as you make way between Highway 96 and 35W. Barbra Streisand and Frank Sinatra's musical legacies come together in Barbara and Frank, the concert that never was. Starring Sharon Owens and Sebastian Anzaldo, the tribute features sensational performances, captivating duets, and witty banter. See what could have been become reality at Treasure Island Friday, February 28th. Terry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Looking for senior living options? Jordana here. I invite you to check out award-winning New Perspective Senior Living with 10 communities in the Twin Cities Metro. They offer you a friendlier approach to senior living. Call 888-229-2298. 888-229-2298.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Weather is brought to you by New Perspective Senior Living. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Today has been our warmest day so far this year. Get out there and enjoy it. 33 is the average high. That's going to be our low tonight. Still mild tomorrow with a high of 47, but the wind is going to pick up. It's going to be very windy as a cold front passes on Friday. Talking about wind gusts over 30 miles per hour. That's going to drag in some cooler air, too. Only a high of 32 on Saturday.
It is warm right now, 53 degrees and sunny in downtown Minneapolis on CCO.
Drive Time with DeRusha is getting rolling again. Perfect. On News Talk 830 WCCO.
Did the new budget that was passed out of the House yesterday, did it slice hunger benefits? It's a conversation, a question that a lot of people have been asking after House Republicans approved their budget proposal. And there's something called SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, that really is a lifetime. Around the country, more than 41 million people get those SNAP benefits, and they use them to purchase food. Now, all of that is not being potentially cut. The Senate still has to pass this through. Right now, this is the first proposal. But a lot of concern right now because in Minnesota, so many people, you're going to be shocked at how many Minnesotans rely on those SNAP benefits. One person who isn't shocked by it is the CEO of Second Harvest Heartland, Allison O'Toole. She is with us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline. How concerned are you if this budget becomes reality, Allison?
Well, thanks for having me on, Jason. I'm really concerned. We are in a hunger crisis already. And if any of these proposals go into place, we're talking about $230 billion in cuts to potentially to nutrition programs, the hunger crisis in Minnesota turns into a hunger catastrophe.
Have you been able to analyze exactly what this is going to mean? Like what kind of cuts? Are there people that are receiving SNAP that won't get it anymore? Or is it a reduction in what the benefit you'd receive would be?
Those details will emerge over the coming days and weeks. I think, Jason, we don't know yet. But what we do know, and we just released a survey, a statewide survey about a month ago that shows 1 in 5 Minnesotans are food insecure. People can't afford their lives, and any cuts to programs that impact people's ability to go to the grocery store and buy groceries is going to make this worse. And I will note, this is, our eyes are squarely focused on Minnesota families who receive SNAP, but also farmers in our state, businesses. So it really has wide-reaching impact, these cuts do. So we're really concerned.
But I know, like in Minnesota, about 450,000 people get these, 450,000 people rely on these benefits, right? And so,
that's right.
But the other side of this, and you sort of alluded to this, the farmers and the businesses, because when people cash in their SNAP benefits, they're spending that money at local foods and they're buying products that our farmers are growing. So there is larger economic activity that happens for every dollar in SNAP that gets spent.
Yeah, that's right. Like I said, it's going to impact all of us. Yeah. And it really is. We're really worried when you talk to our friends at Cub Foods or any of the grocers that are that accept SNAP benefits. They'll see a huge impact because of these cuts.
Well, I didn't even realize
in their business.
Yeah, I didn't realize this. You told me that SNAP makes up about 12% of all of the grocery spending around the country. And you think even if you cut 1% of that, like that is significant money.
Yeah, it's huge. And like I said, people can't afford their lives right now. I mean, grocery prices are going up still.
Yeah.
And
look at eggs. Like we know how
eggs,
awful, like people who can't afford their lives are struggling with it.
I know. And eggs, that's a little bit more complex because of avian flu and all that stuff. But you're right. And people are struggling. So our survey showed 1 in 5 Minnesota families are food insecure, cannot afford food today. But then what is sort of ominous is that 30% of Minnesota families say that they might not be able to afford food in the next year. Again, we are already in a hunger crisis. If these cuts take effect, we will be in a hunger catastrophe in this state. We have tons of influential leaders at the state level for sure, but at the federal level, Senator Klobuchar is the ranking member on the Senate Ag Committee. Angie Craig's the ranking member on the House Ag Committee. Congressman Finstead chairs the nutrition subcommittee, which these cuts will go through, or these proposals will go through, and we hope they're not cuts. But we will be making sure, part of the reason it's so helpful to talk with you and your listeners is because we need everyone's help right now. This is going to have a huge impact on our state.
We're talking with Allison O'Toole, the CEO of Second Harvest Heartland, the food bank that serves so many people all throughout Minnesota, and all the food shelves that sort of get your food out to our neighbors who are in need. We have seen House Republicans here in Minnesota reach out to the U.S. We've seen Minnesota Republican politicians reach out to their Republican colleagues, speaking out against some of the Medicaid cuts that have been proposed in this budget resolution. Do you expect to get some Republicans speaking out about the cuts in SNAP benefits? Because obviously SNAP benefits are being used. I mean, hunger doesn't know a red district or a blue district. So SNAP is being used all over the state.
That's right. I mean, hunger exists in every community, every neighborhood, both in urban communities and rural communities, and across age groups. I mean, I think seniors and kids are more likely to be food insecure. So this is truly, we really believe that this is a nonpartisan issue. I would expect Minnesota lawmakers of both parties to speak out against the cuts that might come with SNAP. And ultimately, Jason, whatever the cuts are, if they're cuts to Medicaid or SNAP, that ends up costing the state more money. And I think, we have a lot of really smart lawmakers here in this state, and they understand the impact of these cuts, not only to the state budget, but to family budgets, more importantly.
Well, and what I wonder is, what is the reality of what happens if we see these sorts of budget cuts? So how does this affect a family living in Wilmer or in Worthington, or a family living in, New Hope or Elk River? What is the real life result of kind of what this cut would be?
Yeah, I mean, without knowing specifics, it's a little hard to say, but what I can tell you is that if SNAP cuts are passed, families in Wilmer or across the state are going to rely on the hunger relief system even more, and their local food shelf for the food they need to feed their families. And like I said, we are already in a hunger crisis right now. The food group just reported nearly 9 million food shelf visits in the last year. We are on a 4-year, this has skyrocketed in the last 4 years. We have to turn this around. And if these cuts are passed, people are going to rely more on the hunger relief network, and we are already at unsustainable levels.
Now, let me ask you this question, because a texter brings this up, and it's interesting. I'd like to give you a chance to explain it to people. But, we do have universal school meals in Minnesota right now. So a texter is saying, well, because we're feeding people at school, is there room to adjust those SNAP benefits, to cut SNAP a little bit because people are getting food at school? Explain why that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, universal school meals are great, and kids are, we helped advocate for that. I think hungry kids can't learn, so we know that's smart policy. But what about the meals that's not getting at school? And those are just the kids that are receiving SNAP. There are, seniors in Minnesota, the rest of the family, college kids that get SNAP. I mean, the universal school meals provides for a certain segment of the population, but not everyone. And so it is, we can't just say that because people are getting universal school meals that solves our issue. It has not solved the issue.
Yeah, and at the same time, the cost of groceries and the cost of food has gone up.
Yeah,
so
right.
So you're sort of kind of chasing this thing that just keeps getting a little. It's like you're in a running race and you're chasing the lead runner, and the lead. Yeah, you're making progress, but the lead runner keeps going faster and faster.
Yeah. It's a runaway train. It really is. And I always think, Jason, I am a glass half full person. I love this state. We really do act in a bipartisan way more than so many other states. I truly believe that hunger is a nonpartisan issue. It impacts all of us, and we need everyone at the table to solve this. Our community really steps up in times of crisis. We need them to do that right now.
Do you think part of the goal here on the federal level is to push some of these costs and some of these programs back to the state, like things like Medicare? You know, the state of Minnesota does not do a ton for hunger. Do you think there's a bigger picture of trying to like get this stuff back out of the federal government?
You know, I don't know. I don't claim to understand, you know, or to speak for.
You can't explain everything that's happened in the last couple weeks. Come on.
God, I wish I could. And if I had a crystal ball, I would call you and offer to be on your show every day because we'd solve a lot of problems.
No, we'd cash in a different way is what we would do if you knew all of that stuff.
I mean, yeah. And then we'd make sure everyone had food on the table.
That's right. That's what we do with that. That's exactly right.
It's exactly what we do. So I don't know the motivations. I do know I'm going out to D.C. on Monday to meet with Senator Klobuchar and some other folks out there to make sure our voices are heard and that people, and I know Senator Klobuchar understands the impact of these cuts on Minnesota families, farmers, and businesses. And I'll be part of that chorus, supporting, you know, just the awareness. And I may have another couple of meetings out there, but it's so important. And so if you're, to your listeners, if people can give to their local food shelf or food bank, please do, but use your voice to advocate against these cuts. The cuts will be catastrophic to the state.
Allison O'Toole, we appreciate it. Thanks for spending some time with us today.
Thank you, Jason.
It is 3:48. We will be back in just a minute with some ideas for new gold cards. Donald Trump has proposed a immigration gold card. Oh, boy. Back in a minute on CCO.
Jason DeRusha returns shortly with more of Drive Time on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Celebrating 30 years of Minnesota-made furniture. Delivered direct to you. That's furniture from By the Yard. Explore the largest ever release of new products. Fresh wood grain colors and timeless favorites in the latest collection of maintenance-free outdoor furniture. Built to last. Backed by a 35-year warranty. Request your catalog today. Start planning your perfect outdoor space before spring arrives. Visit BuyTheYard.net or stop by the showrooms in Woodbury, Maple Grove, or Jordan to get yours. By the Yard. Life is better outdoors.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, we give our students credit. Credit for deciding while stuck in traffic to get a bachelor's degree. Credit for managing 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a full-time job to pursue an MBA. Students at UMGC can use prior learning or relevant experience to earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's. And graduate students can transfer up to 12 credits toward their master's. Flexible online and hybrid classes start March 12th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Attention small business owners needing financing. Swish Funding is providing funds for expansion, inventory, increased overhead, even slow cash flow to small businesses all over America with affordable funding as soon as 1 business day. And we're ready to help with funding from $10,000 to $2 million. If you've been in business for 1 year or more with a monthly income of at least $25,000, you can get the affordable funding you need with no collateral. Go to swishfunding.com today. That's swishfunding.com.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
You can find things running fairly decent across the system. Got the slowdowns out there, crosstown included, both directions between Lyndale and Tracy Avenue. North 169 slowing and moved in County Road 81 and Highway 610, North 35E. Actually, both directions are 35E a bit slow between Victoria and I-94. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
At Newgate School, we turn donated cars into success stories. For 49 years, we've helped underserved young adults in the Twin Cities learn automotive repair skills with 0 tuition. Your vehicle donation can teach, fund, and also provide reliable transportation for single moms. Learn more at newgateschool.org.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Newgate School bringing us the weather forecast. Chris Schaefer says we'll be down to 33 tonight. It's a little breezy, 10 to 15 miles an hour. Tomorrow, same deal, up to 47. Friday, same deal again. It's a little colder on Saturday, 32. But still, what a warm stretch we are in right now. It's 52. Can you believe it? On CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
It's a piece of art.
It is very interesting. It could be very euphoric, but could be demoralizing.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
So last week, while I was in Florida with Dan covering the Minnesota Twins, Alyssa took her mom and took Sam down to the Minneapolis Club for dinner. How about that? That is that's something that any of us can do. Anybody can go to the Minneapolis Club and have dinner, which I think a lot of people don't know. So, like, I've loved being a member there. They got all sorts of great facilities where you can kind of work, hang out, meet with people. You got a great gym and all of that stuff, but kind of fun that anybody can go in there and have dinner. And Alyssa and her mom and Sam had a great meal.
Didn't we meet the chef over there when we were there for your birthday gathering?
New chef, so they're really trying to up the game of the food over there. So good stuff at the Minneapolis Club. You do not need a gold card to go have dinner at Charlie's at the Minneapolis Club. President Donald Trump is planning a gold card alternative to green cards for high-level people. President Trump says the cards would have a, quote, higher level of sophistication than green cards. And I have no doubt that he is correct. Who among us can't recall the first time we held like a slightly premium credit card in our hand? Maybe something you pay a slight fee for, but like I've got a titanium, like a real metal credit card.
Look at you, Mr. Fancy.
And when
what's the Amex? That's the black Amex or what?
I think so. I think I wouldn't know personally because I am too cheap. But yeah, the Centurion Black Card, invitation only. The initiation fee is $10,000. So with that as the backdrop, the idea of charging $5 million as a new route to citizenship, I don't know. It only makes sense to me. I mean, I've wanted some sort of pathway to citizenship, and why not start with gazillionaires?
Just straight up selling it.
I mean, isn't it time to get the Russian oligarchs and
well, we took all their boats, so
the Saudi mobsters.
Might as well come over and take them or get them back, I guess.
I think it's going to be great. Let's get those people here. Let's get the quote. We're going to make sure they're wonderful, world-class global citizens. Trump says it'll be people with money and people that create jobs. Would a Russian oligarch potentially be eligible? Trump said, yeah, possibly. Hey, I know some Russian oligarchs that are nice people. Now, when I sent Sam off to NYU, I was hoping he would maybe meet the daughter of a Russian oligarch.
Seth.
Yeah, Seth. What did I say?
Seth.
Sam.
Yeah, you got two of them. It's
I can't keep those damn kids straight. So I was just thinking with Dan, like, what are some other things?
What else should we have a gold card for?
I would like a gold card that would always get me a reservation at Manny's. I think that would be nice.
Yeah.
What's my card that gets me to the front of the line for that? What would you like a gold card for?
What would I like a gold card for?
Window seat on a plane?
You know what? I would like a gold card that gets me my own self-checkout at the grocery store. So I don't have to wait in line there. I can just go right to the self-checkout, be done.
That's pretty good.
That wouldn't be bad.
I would like a gold card that would allow me to swap spaces if there's like a tall guy in front of me at a concert or a movie.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Like
tap him on the shoulder. Sorry,
Right.
your seat's mine now.
Sorry, buddy.
Gold card.
I got the Trump. It's the Trump card. And you just play the gold. I think there's a lot of I'd love to hear what you would like a gold card for. It's 651-461-9226. Jason, why is it so wrong that President Trump is trying to find ways to bring more outside money in the federal coffers? I would like here's to you, WCCO radio listener, that has just taken your moral compass and just boom, just shot it out of a rocket and said, screw that.
Refugees under persecution, you have to stay out.
Let's make some money.
Gold card guy, come on in.
We are what this country needs is more rich and fancy people.
Yes, definitely.
What can we do to separate us a little more into the haves and the have-nots? And if I could get that What about this time of year, the gold card that would force like some high school kid to come to your yard and pick up all the kind of frozen poop?
The dog nuggets?
Right?
Yeah, that'd be good.
I don't know. Lots of options. Jason, we'll have so many rich people living in the U.S., we won't have anyone to pay taxes anymore. I like a gold card that prevents me from hearing and seeing anything about Taylor Swift, the most overrated pop star.
Wow. Shots fired.
Wow.
Careful going after Tay-Tay.
Drop that right as the music plays, and I don't even have time to defend her.
No.
You know what? If you have the gold card, you get it.
There you go.
We don't judge you. How about a gold card like a golden ticket that lets a caller get right on the air here at CCO? Could we sell that? Let's go.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-668-6655. That's 800-668-6655. Again, that's 800-668-6655.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The news you need from the station you trust. News Talk 830 WCCO 1029 HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul. Always streaming on the free Odyssey app. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump confirmed today the cuts in the federal workforce have only just begun. Linda Kenyon has the details from the White House.
Thousands of workers have already been fired through the administration's Department of Government Efficiency. Now President Trump says the cut will go even deeper.
We're cutting down government. We're cutting down the size of government. We have to. We're bloated. We're sloppy. We have a lot of people that aren't doing their job. We have a lot of people that don't exist.
Speaking during the first cabinet meeting of his second term, the president said agencies have until March 13th to submit their plans for a reduction in force. The result could be an overhaul in how government operates. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
Weijia Jiang reports the firings in D.C. will be felt across the nation eventually.
When you're talking about federal workers and you're talking about less people doing the same amount of work, it could have a real life impact on the American public. When you're talking about the IRS, whether that means your tax refunds are going to come later, if you're talking about school bus safety inspections, is that going to take longer?
A Texas child has become the first death in the measles outbreak there. Dr. Amy Thompson of Covenant Health of Lubbock.
The patient has passed away from complications caused by the measles virus. The child was school-aged and did not reside in Lubbock County.
It's the first U.S. death from measles in a decade. The Supreme Court heard arguments today in the case of an Ohio woman, Marlene Ames, who says she was fired from her state job because she's heterosexual. CBS News legal reporter Catherine Cole.
The court gave about as clear a signal as I've ever seen in a case. They're going to side with Ames here.
Lower courts had dismissed her claims based on a precedent that someone from a majority group has to meet a higher bar to prove discrimination. New York's governor is vowing to fight back against President Trump's decision to pull the plug on so-called congestion pricing, which allows New York to charge a fee for driving in parts of Manhattan.
Orderly cessation was the phrase that came in the letter to us. Orderly cessation. I will propose something in the alternative. Orderly resistance.
Israelis gathered today for the funeral of a woman and her children who were killed in captivity in Gaza and became symbols of the hostage ordeal. Here's Deborah Pata.
Mourners lined the streets today as the funeral procession for Cherie Bibas and her 2 toddlers passed by. Her husband Yarden, who survived the October 7 Hamas terror attack, bid them a heartbreaking farewell.
On Wall Street, the Dow finished off 188 points. This is CBS News.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You could save big when you bundle your auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat. Visit Progressive.com.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Partly cloudy, 54 degrees at 4:03. I'm Laura Oakes. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison responding to a warning today from U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi that the state must comply with President Trump's rule that bans transgender athletes from participating in girls' and women's sports.
My response is we're going to stand up for Minnesota law. The Washington's action is nothing but a cover for bigotry against a discrete minority group. And this has been an obsession from the Trump administration, attacking a very small minority.
Ellison says complying with the executive order would violate the state's Human Rights Act. The city of St. Paul is joining San Francisco in suing President Trump over an executive order that threatens to withhold more than $200 million in federal funding for the city. The administration contends that St. Paul's status as a sanctuary city interferes with the federal government's immigration enforcements. The suit follows President Trump's calling Mayor Melvin Carter and other local leaders sick politicians for not cooperating with deportation mandates. Mayor Carter says the president's actions are disgusting, insulting, and laughable if they weren't so dangerous. Life in prison for a Minneapolis man who authorities say killed his girlfriend and abused several others before her. A Hennepin County jury convicted 52-year-old Johnny Leroy Brown of first-degree murder while committing domestic abuse in the 2023 killing of Keisha Moore in her Linden Hills home. County Attorney Mary Moriarty says these types of cases make up a significant portion of her office's workload, with funding to help victims in jeopardy.
At a time when we should be pushing for more interventions, the federal funding freeze will result in more people trapped in and harmed by domestic violence.
Moriarty says several of Johnny Brown's past victims testified against him, helping secure his conviction. Minnesota lawmakers taking aim at homeowners associations.
82% of new homes in Minnesota are part of a homeowners association, but DFL State Representative Kristen Bonner says the laws have not kept up pace, leaving homeowners often in a world of hurt.
The reality of many is one of escalating costs for monthly dues, special assessments for repairs, outrageous restrictions by boards run amok.
The bill has bipartisan support. Republican State Representative Shane Michelin sharing one of the stories he's heard.
When people simply will send an email, make a phone call, send a letter, asking questions for clarification, and sometimes it takes more than one attempt, what they get in return is a bill from an attorney for $2,000 that they're then assessed with.
The bill and others came out of a task force set up last year to address the problem. Susie Jones, News Talk 830 WCCO.
No word yet on what caused a fatal house fire in St. Louis Park overnight. Fire crews found a man's body while battling the blaze on the 7400 block of North Street. It's not known if the death was a result of the fire or if the man died prior to it. WCCO News Time is 4:06.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Problems in place over on the east side of the Metro from northbound 52 as you make your way toward Plato Boulevard with the crash working. Look for the right lane to be affected. Traffic's jammed through the area. You're also going to find the ramp from Eden Street to North 52 currently closed. Just continue straight up and grab the ramp from Plato Boulevard. If you're going to be traveling 494, you're going to find slowing in place westbound Lindale to 100, the crosstown eastbound run. At a possible crash near France Avenue. It's already slow as you come in from Gleason. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
And here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
After our warmest days so far this year, we'll cool down for the next few. Mostly cloudy down to 33 tonight, 47 tomorrow. Still above average, but it's going to be breezy. Northwest wind 10 to 15. Flat out windy on Friday. Talking about winds gusting over 30 miles per hour. We should hit 47 and then cool down this weekend.
Partly cloudy right now, 54 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
From headlines around the globe to the news that hits close to home, we've got you covered. News Talk 830 WCCO. No suit, no tie, just DeRusha. It's Drive Time. Live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise.
I'm super excited to introduce to you
Jason DeRusha.
Well, we're already getting the theme of this segment started with our guest Adrian saying that we're not high atop of the Odyssey Tower.
I mean,
What floor are we on?
you're on the second floor.
How many floors are there in this building?
Not enough.
5?
Maybe 5, but the point is you'd have to be at the top. High would be a stretch for any of those floors.
I'm going to be honest.
But it's just not true for yours.
It is a lie. It's a lie. And I wrote it. I wrote this.
Okay.
So that's on me.
I'm sorry.
I mean, does this make you wonder what else am I saying that's not true?
I'm
on
not
this show?
I'm not trying to chip away at your credibility.
I mean, part of the beauty of radio is it's theater of the mind. So you can imagine us being anywhere you want.
Like it sounds
including
big.
at the top of a tower.
Okay.
High at top. Doesn't it make it sound like it's a big time show?
Right.
Yeah, but I'm not listening. I'm here.
But if I
can't.
yeah, that's fair. But if the big voice guy was like from the second floor of a building that has the carpet with holes in it and the molding around the floor is held up with duct tape.
That doesn't even look like duct tape.
I know it's probably like some sort of painter's tape.
Looks a little
This
cheaper.
place is a dump. And if you want to see what it looks like, you can watch us. We are live streaming on YouTube. We're
That's
on
new.
X. We're on my X account now. We're on Facebook. I don't know. So wherever you are, I don't know how to live stream onto Blue Sky or Threads. I don't know. There are too many things, aren't there?
There are lots of things. TikTok. You
Thank
doing
you.
that?
Thank you for. Tell me about the TikTok.
The TikTok.
See, a texter saying the radio signal is emanating from high atop the tower.
Well, fair.
So technically,
I mean,
I appreciate the 763 texter for
Yeah,
trying to give me.
Again, in your mind, absolutely.
It is time for our advice and relationship monthly segment with our friend Adrian Lee, who is here in studio just to give me a hard time. How are you?
I'm good.
Do you like this change of seasons? We're in this sort of fake spring right now.
Yes, this is false spring. I know we could still get a huge snow. I'm trying to remember that.
But who cares about that snow, right? Because it comes
And it goes.
and it goes.
And it's still usually pretty warm. I don't
Yeah.
care.
I don't care. I'm fine with it. Get a big snow. Don't get a big.
Yeah.
Who cares?
But yes, I'm not only happier, I'm legitimately a better person as soon as it hits 45 degrees.
Do you become a worse mom or a worse person in the winter when the weather's bad?
What?
Does it affect you?
Yeah, of course. But
Really?
But yeah,
I'm
crabbier for sure. You just run out of indoor things to do.
See, I am pretty amazing year round.
Okay.
Like the
I
weather.
forgot we were lying about everything today.
The weather does not. It doesn't affect. I'm not affected by the weather.
Okay. What are you affected by?
Hunger sometimes.
I mean, you were in a pretty great mood down in Florida.
Oof.
So I mean, it doesn't hurt your mood.
It doesn't hurt my.
Yeah.
That's a fair way. What
How
am
dare
I?
you bring up Florida?
Because we were just there last week.
How dare
Why
you bring
would we
up
not
Florida?
bring it up? That's part of the
So
show.
that actually is a very good question. Text in at 651-461-9226. What are the things sort of like out of your control? What affects you? What affects your mood? What messes with your mood? What improves your mood? Because you can't control it. I found when I anchored the morning news, sleep deprivation, I was warned by Ed Heil. Ed Heil was a sports guy at Channel 4 who got moved to the morning news. And he said, be ready because you are going to have a temper. I'm like, Ed Heil, in my life, I have yelled at one coworker once. Like, I just don't have much of a temper. Sometimes I get frustrated. Like I snapped at Dan the other day. That's fine. Dan should know by now when I'm going to snap at him. It's a very consistently timed event.
I have a pretty good idea when it's
you
coming.
okay,
Yeah.
Dan?
I'm fine.
Yeah, if
I'm
you
fine.
feel unsafe, this is a safe space.
I'm totally fine because, I mean, I just bark back at you. It's no big deal.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me. That's good.
No.
That's actually as constructive dialogue as far as I'm concerned.
Fair.
It's fine. He told me I was going to have a temper, and he was right. Like, I found myself snapping at the kids. Like, and I at that time, the kids were little, and I was very patient. But sleep deprivation, oof, not great for me.
That's real.
Weather for you is a factor.
Weather
All right, let's see what people text in with at 651-461-9226. One coworker day after day after day of gloomy days. And then they get the coworkers get stupid. Oh, stupid coworkers. That's what she's saying. Carrie from White Bear Lake says stupid coworkers affect her mood. Do you get affected by coworkers?
I mean, I think you get affected by any people that you're with consistently, especially ones you depend on to do things you have to do. So sure.
I guess. I don't know. If you are as arrogant as I am, like you just don't let other people affect your mood.
Okay. Well.
Just like I mean, you just assume everybody else is wrong.
Oh,
Yeah.
that seems like it's working out for you. You seem really happy.
That brings us to our first topic. And if you have a relationship or life advice questions, hit us up at 651-461-9226. We're streaming on YouTube and on X, and you can ask your question in the comments there as well. So our first topic is about insecure white men, which feels like a logical transition from
Certainly aren't any of those in the room right now.
from
so
what
we're
I'm
good.
saying.
We are good.
I am highly secure. Maybe I'm overly secure, which is a sign of being insecure. I don't know. Adri, I am a white woman who is often in spaces with insecure white men in power. What is the most effective way to communicate with them without having to make myself feel and appear small? This is such an interesting question because it brings up so many realities of life.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's super interesting. I think the concept of intersectionality is really helpful here because obviously.
So explain what that is.
It's just how different identities. We all have multiple identities. You're not just a man. I'm not just a woman. I'm not just a Black woman. I'm not just a Minnesotan, et cetera. And how those identities kind of layer and intersect with one another.
Yeah.
So she is talking about like the power dynamic between a man and a woman. But then there is also like the shared whiteness that they both have. And so like if this was a Black man, I think my answer might have been different, would have had some more nuance, et cetera.
Interesting. So here you have, because you have people, like you take race out of it, it's like that's not a factor.
Mm-hmm.
But power is a factor.
Power, gender, class, all of those things are factors for sure.
And so it is interesting because I remember we went through sort of this, like a lot of this is in the rah-rah kind of social media posts that people post, like there are no small, whatever, only small people, like all this kind of stuff, which I sometimes wonder, I don't know how helpful this stuff is. Maybe if it makes you feel better about yourself, so what? But I do understand this idea of like, okay, I'm not in power. I do need to communicate with my superiors in the work hierarchy. How do I assert myself without like being just seen as like this dumb woman.
Mm-hmm.
What did you tell her? What do you recommend?
I think what I told her and what I recommended, number one, she was just talking about how do I communicate with this person? And she talked a lot about being aware of the power dynamics and feeling them. She didn't talk about having any like concrete consequences as a result of those.
Okay.
So if like this guy was trying to push her out of a job or passing her over for men, my advice would be different. But she's just talking about like sort of her perception of the dynamics and maybe like not liking how the guy carries himself. And my advice was honestly, it can be really helpful to not spend too much time internalizing and mulling over those dynamics. And it's not like fake it till you make it, just knowing your own self-worth, knowing your own competency. Like you aren't less smart than this guy. You're not less capable than this guy. He just has a different position than you. And so just move forward as equals. And as long as he doesn't challenge you in doing that, like, however he feels about himself is his problem and how you feel about yourself is yours. Once again, this is assuming that there's no like actual
if there's
consequences.
discrimination,
Right,
like active
discrimination.
workplace discrimination is a different
Exactly.
deal. You sort of wonder when she calls him an insecure white man, you wonder like, is she projecting that on him? Is he really showing up in that way? Like how, who knows?
Well, who
You
knows?
know,
Who knows?
that look on your face
who
was like
knows?
typical white guy trying to give the white guy the benefit of the doubt.
Who knows? Well, here's the thing. If you've ever read my writing, which I hope so, because why am I here?
Never read it.
We all know that I'm not Toni Morrison, but Toni Morrison said or spoke to this topic and said that one of the functions of whether it's racism, but also I think we could extrapolate this to like misogyny is to distract. Right. So at some point you just have to decide you don't care and do your work.
Yeah.
I don't care how he feels about himself. I really don't. I don't care if he thinks he's better than me. I care if he takes that feeling and weaponizes it. And it doesn't sound like that was happening here.
That's a really powerful insight because that can be helpful to a lot of interactions that we all have.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little more sophisticated than the mind your own bobber kind of approach. Like just focus on yourself. Don't worry about other stuff because sometimes other stuff matters, but sometimes it doesn't.
Yep.
Just do your gig. All right. Very good. That's our first question. If you have relationship, parenting questions, whatever, hit us up, 651-461-9226. Lots of people texting in with external events that affect their mood. We'll share some of that when we come back. Ask Adri. You can follow. Where should people follow you? Substack?
Yep, for sure. Substack.
That is askadrianything.substack.com.
Yep. Also on Twitter, you just posted about today's show. I'm tagged in there. If you want to follow me there, you can as well. Although most of the advice writing is on Substack.
Very good. All right. Back in a minute with Adrian and here on DriveTime.
DriveTime with DeRusha is back after this on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Are you in a relationship with Minnesota Pork? It's Jason for our friends at the Minnesota Pork Board. This is a relationship question that we all have to face at some point. What, how do you feel about your pork? Whether it's a pork chop, is that pork shoulder enticing you? Sure, we've all been there. We've been there, maybe enjoying a plate full of bacon. You look in the corner of your eye and you're like, oh man, pulled pork sure would be nice. I'm here to say that you can have a very complicated relationship with pork and no one's going to judge you. Find a pork that meets your needs. Maybe you're looking for something low fat. Oh, yeah. Minnesota Pork's got you taken care of. Maybe you're an athlete. Maybe you're working hard in your day job. You need to replenish your protein supply. May I recommend the pork chop? Pork chop can have up to 60 grams of protein right in one of those bone-in bad boys. Oh, you would love that. How about the Minnesota family farmers? 3,000 of them every corner of this state. Now, there is something to love. Taking care of their community, taking care of the animals. Oh, hard not to get a little tingle, don't you think? You want to search for the Minnesota Pork to pair perfectly with your life? Go to mnpork.com. Find yourself a recipe and find yourself a match. You never know. Go to your grocery store and your butcher shop and let's have Minnesota Pork for dinner tonight.
Advantage Seamless Gutters is now Advantage Home Pros. New look, same pros. Still locally owned and now taking care of all your gutter and roofing needs. Spring cleanup is just around the corner. Don't spend your weekends on a ladder cleaning your gutters when you could be spending time with family and planning that spring break trip. Trust your local gutter pros, Advantage Home Pros. Now your local custom roofing pros. With the highest quality workmanship and materials. Our trained, knowledgeable local pros can handle it all. Trust the pros, AdvantageHomePros.com.
Although Barbra Streisand and Frank Sinatra never shared the stage, their musical legacies come together in Barbra and Frank, the concert that never was, starring Sharon Owens and Sebastian Anzaldo. This can't-miss tribute features sensational performances of the powerhouse vocalist's biggest hits, captivating duets, and witty banter. See what could have been become reality at Treasure Island Resort and Casino on Friday, February 28th. Get your tickets at TICasino.com.
You can do this. Why? Because no one cares more about your money than you. Right now, many have concerns about their retirement, their investments. Are these mutual funds a poor investment? Did you know that with the average fees of 2%, you could be missing out on upwards of half of your potential retirement dollars? That's pretty high for management, especially when 75% of these funds underperform the market. At Trading Academy, our mission is to empower you to take control of your investments. Text investing to 210-210. Take control of your financial future. Maybe it's to just have a better conversation with your broker. Sign up for a free investing class, local classrooms, one-on-one mentoring, how to protect your investments against inflation. Text investing to 210-210 or go to learnwithota.com.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-536-9607. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-536-9607 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-536-9607 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-536-9607.
Let's roll with more of Jason DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
I've been driving all night, my hands wet on the wheel.
Ask Adri, our relationship segment. You can follow Adrian Lee at AskAdriAnything.substack.com. Okay. This next question I have for you is a parenting question because I just finished reading this book, which appears to be like the manual of all of the millennium moms right now, millennial moms. It is called The Anxious Generation. And this book talks about the role that smartphone apps especially have had in rewiring the brains of young people, and that you see this all over the world. So it's not just an American thing. It's not just a COVID thing. It is phones. At the same time, what this author puts forward is that in the real world, parents have never been more fearful of letting their kids go to the park, fall off something, get hurt, experience life. And so kids aren't learning anything about risk, about danger, about solving problems, all of this stuff. My question for you is how, as a parent, because you have young kids, first of all, does that resonate with you, that sort of fear in the real world and maybe overly permissiveness in the digital world? Or is that not how you do it?
Not really. I don't love the author's premise, but I love disagreeing. So I'll let you finish.
No, tell me what you, that's it. How do you disagree?
I disagree. I'm a millennial mom. I have a 7 and a 9-year-old. And Certainly phones have become more ubiquitous. Like everyone is on them.
The data is incredible.
Yeah,
where
it
you're
is.
like, yeah, it's depression was level. And then right when Facebook bought Instagram, depression goes up. And it's in every country. So it's not only us.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I guess what I would say is there's other things happening simultaneously. So I think it's really important to not assume that that's like causative.
Right.
And two, like one of the big cultural changes, even from like my childhood, is it has nothing to do with phones and everything to do with our expectations of parents and sort of the eroding away of public spaces and third spaces. And what I mean by that is you said, we were chatting before I came on, and you said, what would it take for people to let go of their fear and, let their kids play and potentially get hurt? And it's like, well, one thing it would take is I would have to be sure my neighbor isn't going to call the police on me if they see my kid at the park alone.
That's part of it. They talk about that in the book, the fact that parents who are doing very normal parenting things are getting the cops called on.
Exactly. And so, of course, the phone seems like a good alternative because you can do it, like it keeps them occupied in the house.
But let me give you an example. We have school bus stops all over our neighborhood. Every parent in a very safe, very walkable neighborhood, every parent is picking up their kid at the bus stop.
Yeah.
And driving them 3 houses down to go home.
Well,
It's crazy.
I walk my kids to the bus stop, but it's a block and a half.
Yeah.
But again, it's
because you're afraid, or because why?
I'm not actually afraid. I think my kids would be fine, but I am afraid one of my neighbors would think it
narc you out.
Yeah. And maybe, I mean, like that's particular to me and
No, I think that fear is right on. And that's part of what the author is getting at, that like we've lost the plot as a society. And he lives in New York City, and he had to like give his kid freedom to like take the subway, which was scary, but also fine.
It is scary. And you do still have that fear of like kidnappings and violence, but we've always known that those things are relatively rare. But like what feels like a more of a certainty is that you're either going to be at best judged or at worst actually told.
So how do we fix that? How do we stop judging? Like,
well, it's not millennials doing that. It's not.
I think it is. I think it's everybody. You think it's just the Karens of the Gen X or boomers that are calling? I think it's the other parents at the school bus who are like,
I think you're right that it's not one.
It's all of
it's not one particular generation, but I think what used to be sort of like a village is more of a surveillance state now.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I do think, though, like they quoted in the book this summer camp counselor who it's a phone-free summer camp 1 week. And he said, we don't intervene with like playground stuff. He's like, our goal is bruises, not breaks. He's like, but we've sort of engineered our playground equipment to be like, it's like a soft pillow that you would fall in. Remember what the playgrounds were like when we were? And I'm not saying we should go back to that.
We're not bringing back that super high metal slide that heated up to like 120 degrees and fried your we don't
correct.
Need to bring that
we don't need that. But maybe like you could have kids walk on like a little balance beam, or you could play in you could have unstructured play instead of everything being a play date and a setup thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But
I know
it's more culture than
it is more culture. This book wasn't blaming the parents.
Yeah.
It was saying that we as a society have sort of gotten out of control. I think there's this idea of like, if there's a chance, we have to protect them. If there's a chance, and people, some of it is media. We're like, I don't know. I was thinking about when school was canceled for that very cold morning. And the reality is the reason it was canceled is because if a bus broke down, one kid was left out there, everyone would freak out and blame the school and file a lawsuit instead of saying like, why'd you send your kid out when it was 20 below with no coat? Like a lot of dumb parents out there. But it is, I think it's a very difficult challenge of parents of younger kids for sure today.
Yeah.
But we're screwing up our kids, I think.
Well, is that how you feel about yours? Have you screwed them up? Have they spent their whole lives on their phones?
Well, we sent them out to play. So we did send them out. We would let them walk to the bus stop. We'd let them ride their bikes.
They're a little older than mine too. I feel like that's.
How old are your kids?
7 and 9.
Would you let the 9-year-old babysit?
No.
Why not?
I think according to state law, he can't. He can be home alone.
It's the law.
Yeah, he can be home
Well,
alone for a couple hours.
It's not against the law, but somebody could call Narc Village could call you in and open an investigation.
Yep.
Yeah, we're just like, ugh.
Plus, a 77-year-old would take over. I don't. That dynamic wouldn't work.
It's very good. This is good. I appreciate the conversation. Good stuff. Ask Adri. Send in your questions for next month. We'll do it again. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's really good. We'll break. We're gonna. Oh, what's your worst chore?
It's laundry. Of course, it's laundry. It never ends, and it's like multiple tasks. You've got to sort, you've got to wash, you've got to dry, you've got to fold, you've got to. It's laundry.
Where will laundry be on the rank you very much list of worst household chores? That's what's coming up next.
We need a quick pit stop. Then Jason DeRusha continues on News Talk 830 WCCO.
It's Legislation Mania 2025. I'm Bob.
And I'm Biff. We're ready for the main event featuring the champion for nearly 250 years. It's Checks and Balances.
Yeah, but Biff, we've got a challenger no one's been able to stop. Introducing Executive Orders.
Leaping out of his corner right away, it's Executive Orders, and oh, that had to hurt. And oh my, Checks and Balances really taking a beating here.
The gloves are off, the mics are on, and you get to hear every takedown on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Nobody wants to wait around forever for their home to sell. It's tough. A lot of people feel like if they accept an offer too quickly, though, that they're probably leaving money on the table. Hey, it's Vanita. Just call my friend, the good neighbor agent, John Schuster of the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. Brenda just worked with John to sell her townhome. Someone who she really trusted made the referral, and Brenda learned she can trust that person even more because of how great John was. He fired up his marketing system. It reaches thousands of potential home buyers every single day. It took him less than 72 hours to get a handful of offers and found a buyer. Now she's one of his more than 5,000 satisfied customers. Contact John for full details, 952-222-9000, online, johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving, johnschustergroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
We find the roads to be in pretty good shape and things running fairly decent. You got your slowdowns out there, but no major hassles right now. As you travel north 52, we do have that crash work in your Plato Boulevard. Look at the right lane to be affected and slowdowns in the area. North 35E, that's on the slow side. Victoria, all the way up toward Highway 36, 694 eastbound. Speeds dipping below the posted pretty much as you come away from DuPont heading out toward Rice Street. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
At Newgate School, we turn donated cars into success stories. For 49 years, we've helped underserved young adults in the Twin Cities learn automotive repair skills with zero tuition. Your vehicle donation can teach, fund, and also provide reliable transportation for single moms. Learn more at newgateschool.org.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Weather. Here's Chris Schaefer.
Today has been our warmest day so far this year. Get out there and enjoy it. 33 is the average high. That's going to be our low tonight. Still mild tomorrow with a high of 47, but the wind is going to pick up. It's going to be very windy as a cold front passes on Friday. Talking about wind gusts over 30 miles per hour. That's going to drag in some cooler air, too. Only a high of 32 on Saturday.
Newgate School bringing us the weather. 52 here on CC.
Jason DeRusha.
He is pompous. He is erudite. He is intelligent. He is condescending.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Back in effect after a week's vacation while we were in Florida. Paul Fletcher with us as always. Paul, are you ready to rock?
I'm always ready.
Yeah, you were born. You were born ready. Question for you though.
I put that in your head.
You did.
What's that?
Yeah, you said that to me before we started on this. So, beautiful day. It's sunny.
Outside with t-shirt and shorts right now.
Come on.
Just for the record.
Now, does this get you in the spirit for a major ice-related event that you have tonight?
I don't know. None of this really ties into it because I'm outside in t-shirt and shorts, which is not very icy. But yeah, that for those that don't know, I'm an assistant coach at the Minneapolis boys high school hockey team, and we've got a section final tonight. We win, we go to state. So let's go. Let's get it on.
During a game, so this is a question I have about being an assistant coach at a hockey game, because it seems to me that coaching hockey is really just like traffic management. It's like, now it's your guy's turn, and now it's your guy's turn.
Unlike anything else, or not unlike anything else in the world, everything is hyper-focused these days. So you've got one guy that's running the offensive players. You got one guy that's running the defensive players. You got the head coach who's kind of overseeing everything, and he kind of is traffic management. But then everybody chips in on making sure we don't send out the wrong guys at the wrong time or send out me at the wrong time.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like the psychiatrist on the bench. I'm sort of just making sure they keep their heads right and keep their spirits up, and constantly pumping their ego when maybe the head coach is beating them down into submission. And so I'm reminding them that they don't suck. But it's honestly not that brutal. But yeah, that's kind of my thing. And then just little one-on-one things that you see during the game. It's like, hey, what were you thinking here? Maybe we could try this. And so, if you have one guy or two guys, it's too much to manage at once. So that's why you have assistants.
How many coaches do you have on this squad?
We have 4, and then we actually just gained one, so we kind of have 5. But it's
good.
Yeah, it's one overseas goalies, and another guy is writing up power plays. And
well, good luck tonight. Good luck. You guys are facing who?
Thanks, man.
Who are you facing?
What's that?
Who's your
Orono,
opponent?
The Spartans.
Oh, the city versus the rich kids in Orono. This is a classic battle. Classic battle.
One city,
wouldn't.
one team. We're a big co-op, so
That's
one
true.
city, one team. That's our bit. We don't have a nickname. They're the Orono Spartans. We're just a Minneapolis hockey club.
Classic.
We did that way before Utah. Yeah,
I like it.
We're ready to go.
Typical Minneapolis. Of
white,
course, it's a
ready to
co-op. It's like, we're getting our granola out of the bulk. We're getting. That's how it is. That's how it is. I like it. Well, good luck tonight.
100%.
Paul Fletcher here for
Thanks, man. I appreciate
Rank you very much.
Let's do it.
Tonight, I'm going to a media event of what appears to be like a Harry Potter / wizard themed cocktail pop-up. I don't know, man.
Right up your alley.
Very strange. It seems very strange. I don't know what's happening.
I mean, you could bail on that and come to our game.
I could.
Yeah, we'll let you.
Will you have
I'll get you
potions and cocktails and costumes? I suppose that's all on the table.
You need the super round glasses. That's what you need. All right, I want to see a picture of that.
Today we are ranking the worst household chores. I love this topic.
It's coming sooner than we want it. I mean, sooner than we know. I mean, it's borderline spring right now. And sure, we'll have some cold weather again, but we're going to be spring cleaning before you know it.
Meteorological spring starts on Saturday, I think, is the first day. Yeah. So let's start with your number 3. Paul Fletcher.
My number 3.
Worst.
Number 3 is cleaning the microwave.
Oh, excellent.
And it's like, I'm not trying to take shots at the people in the house with me.
Yeah.
But if I don't do it, nobody does.
Right.
And so if I get, so with 4 people, if I get a little lazy, I get behind really fast. And then it's just an absolute pain because you got to try to reach into that small opening to get the top and apply force, you know what I mean? Or the sides and apply force, to get it scrubbed. So number 3, microwave.
I think that's very good. Last week, 2 weeks ago, I changed the filter on my microwave. Like the vent system has this like charcoal filter to it. And even that was a pain in the neck. Like
that's right. I forgot you telling me about that. Yeah.
Get a ladder and go unscrew
everything.
The thing.
Microwave's a pain.
Microwaves can get really gross. I tend to explode things when I heat things up. So that's a good choice. My number
one of those covers.
My number 3 is actually very timely with this time of year. And it is the, generally speaking, the spring yard cleanup. Because you've got like the wet sort of leaves that you didn't get taken care of in the fall. I've got to cut down the like the natural grasses that we have, the tall grasses that form kind of a barrier around our yard.
Yeah.
And that's like I finally figured out to use like a hedge trimmers for that. That's a pretty good solution. But like it's a pain and it's a mess. And it's like, is the ground mushy? Is it not? Like, just, I don't like anything about it.
It's the mushy is gross, man. Like this time of year is gross.
Yes.
This is why I like snow. I wish we could just somehow go from snow to spring and not have to deal with this in between, whether it's at the beginning of fall or now. Like that in between mushy brown is just gross.
Yeah.
I hate it. Yeah, I feel you on that.
The spring this is a big Chad Hartman talking point. He is I think he's anti-spring because it's kind of rainy and it's never as warm as you want it to be. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Shocking.
I mean, all I know is what are we at right now? We're at 51 degrees and I am comfortable enough to be outside in shorts and a t-shirt. So I kind of like spring for that.
That's true. That
feeling in the air is amazing.
The 51 in fall is not quite as nice as it is. There's something weird that happens with the spring, right? Paul Fletcher here. We did number 3. Let's do number 2. And your feedback always welcome at 651-461-9226. Your number 2 worst household chore is
cleaning the shower.
Oh.
It's not as
is it the
bad.
grout? Is it the tile grout, or what are we cleaning?
All of it. The tub. I mean, you got to clean it every now and then,
we just have people. We just have people who do it.
Oh, do they have any difficulty like getting over the moat to get to the castle? Do you give them the security code to the drawbridge, or I don't have people. Okay, I have to do it. I'm an everyman.
So is it cleaning the hair out of the drain? That's a gross one.
I mean, grime gets built up from time to time, and like you said, the tile and all of that. And it's like the microwave where there's no.
Yeah.
It's like there's no do you just get in the shower and literally on your knees? It's not. It's just not an easy, ergonomically easy thing to clean.
That's true.
And so it makes it more difficult.
Cleaning our teenagers. The shower they use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that you would know. You have people.
Well, sometimes like the drain gets clogged and I have to intervene before. Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
Do you generally go get a pedicure then after?
Right. I've got like the snake thing and I clean out the deal. Like I do some stuff around the house.
I'm just mostly worried about your hands. That's all.
Thank you. They're very delicate. I appreciate it. My number 2 is cleaning behind the fridge. Cleaning behind the fridge.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
But for multiple reasons, like moving
It's not that hard.
Well, our fridge is wedged into space that just moving the thing is so difficult.
Everybody, well, you know what? Try on some muscles.
Yep. That's
Maybe
good.
have your wife do it. She could probably be just fine.
All right. You've insulted my manhood so much.
I've been way too nice to you the last few weeks because we've been agreeing on stuff. I can't let this one go because is it kind of tough to move the fridge? Sure, but then once you move it, it's like a vacuum and a little wipe and you're done. Like, dude, like the microwave and the shower are a pain in the butt from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Suck it up, Buttercup. Let's go. Come on.
I mean, I wouldn't know. I've never cleaned our shower, so I can't. How am I supposed to? Let's break. It's rank you very much with Paul Fletcher. Keep
you want to break because you're on the hot stove right now.
Yeah, that's why it's my show. It's my show. Now we break. We'll be back with more Paul Fletcher.
Don't touch that dial. More Drive Time with DeRusha coming up on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Hey, it's Jason DeRusha here for the Arms Out Real Estate Maven, my friend Chris Lindahl. And Chris Lindahl is there for you when you need to sell your home quickly. The guaranteed offer is hassle-free. It is fast. It is awesome. You should get to chrislindahl.com right now. You can get that guaranteed cash offer. Sometimes you just got to sell your house quickly, right? And you want to do it as is. You don't want to do repairs. You don't want to be dealing with it. You don't want to empty. Just you can sell it and be done with it. Whether it's divorce or death in the family, whatever the case may be. Reach out to chrislindahl.com. And in fact, if you go to the website, you also can see a link to Chris's new book, Arms Out, which benefits Special Olympics Minnesota. It tells his life story, which is incredible. It's incredible. Chris is a friend of mine. He has helped my wife and I as we were searching for a house last year. He's going to help you as well. If you need to move, if the time to move is now, the guaranteed cash offer is how. Get over to chrislindahl.com today.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-253-6259. 800-253-6259. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. 800-253-6259.
Escape the Minnesota winter and soak up the sunshine in Fort Myers, Florida at Luminary Hotel and Company. Located just steps from the Caloosahatchee River, it's the perfect spot to relax and explore. With 7 incredible dining options and a walkable downtown filled with shops and activities, you'll experience the best of Southwest Florida. And as a member of Marriott's Autograph Collection, this isn't just a stay, it's an experience. Plan your getaway now at luminaryhotel.com.
Many listeners have asked me what CBD products I use, and I am so happy to be able to share them with you on the radio. Jordana Green here. I really want to destigmatize CBD and reveal compelling health benefits that I've experienced. I use Mini-Leaf. Check out minilleaf.com, MINNELEAF.com. I use these products. I would not recommend them to you if I didn't. Mark has used them. We have both experienced the benefits from the Triple Diamond Pain Cream. It's such relief. And also those Sleep Night gummies. The best night's sleep I have had in a while. No pharmaceuticals needed. Check out the true benefits of CBD. You can see they're 100% natural Mini-Leaf's products, and you can look at the studies on the website. Minilleaf.com. MINNELEAF. Tell them Jordana sent you.
Mini-Leaf means quality. Taste happy at minilleaf.com.
The home of Minnesota's best legal products.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
All clear, North 52, Plato Boulevard. The accident's cleared. All lanes have opened up. Things running much smoother as you might expect through the area. 494 eastbound jamming up as you move between Highway 52 and Highway 61, North 100. Got your slowdowns approaching County Road 81, heading up to 94, and then 694 jammed up both directions between Lexington and 252. Heading westbound just past Highway 96. Looks like we might have a possible crash working there. Traffic is already jammed through the stretch. Terry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Clogged gutters? Call the pros. Advantage Home Pros. With the highest quality workmanship and materials. Seamless gutter installation, cleaning, and covers. Our trained, knowledgeable local pros can handle it all. Trust the pros. AdvantageHomePros.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Advantage Home Pros. Experience the advantage at AdvantageHomePros.com. Brings us Chris Schaefer's forecast. Tonight we get down to 33. Tomorrow, high of 47. Friday, same deal. Saturday, we're down to 32, but it's been so warm this week, the ice castles are done. They shut it down. It's too much melting. Right now, it is 52 and sunny on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Thank you very much.
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 I have recovered from just the sheer insults from Paul Fletcher.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah. Yeah. What sexism?
You gonna be okay?
You know, I'm here to stand up for the weak man. Okay. And that is, I'm working on it. All right. I lifted some weights today. I mean, I'm doing my part. They were 5 pounds, but it still counts.
Did you lift them yourself?
No, I have people, just like the house cleaning. So we are ranking the worst household chores. Your number 3 was?
Cleaning the microwave. Just an oblong.
Number 2?
The shower, because getting in it and cleaning it and getting the right angles is impossible.
All right. My number 3 was the spring yard cleanup, the raking of the wet, gross leaves. My number 2 was
fair.
Sort of a pansy-ish cleaning behind the fridge. Can you say that? Am I allowed to say that? You know what? It's a new country. I can say whatever I want.
If you can't call yourself a pansy, then what can you say?
That's fair. Why even have a radio show? Really?
Right.
At that point. All right, it's time for number 1. The worst household chore, according to Rank You Very Much, is Paul Fletcher. Your number 1 is
cleaning the ceiling fan blades.
Whoa! That came out of left field. A huge upset at number 1.
You didn't expect it. You didn't expect.
I did not expect it.
I actually just saw something on TikTok that may make it easier, where you take a bed sheet.
Come on now.
And you put that over the blade,
and then
so that sweeps all of the dust into the bed sheet.
While the blade is
to the pillowcase.
While the blade is moving, you do this.
I think you have it probably stopped. Not that you would understand because you have people, but the rest of us who actually
I like to do a deep clean. I like to take the blades off the fan, take it down, and just really clean it out.
Okay, well, that's fine.
You know what else you could do if you're a real man? Turn the blade up at full speed and then send the dust flying all over the room. You've solved the problem.
And then just get a giant open vacuum to catch it all, suck it all in as it
Look,
falls
I
out.
don't have a ceiling fan in my bedroom. This is a problem for my kids. They have ceiling fans. What do I care if there's dust all over the room? Who knows what else is all over
You don't
that
have ceiling fans in other rooms?
teenage boy room? No. There was remember the what was that Changing Places, or what was that show that used to be on TLC where they would always that Paige Stevens would come in and they'd always take down the ceiling fans because they thought they were ugly. You know this show I'm talking about? So we don't have them because my wife
definitely not. But
my wife
so basically
my
you
wife
just
thinks
did
they're
what some
ugly.
TLC people told you to do.
Yeah.
So they're ugly because they said they were ugly.
I assume that's why my wife thinks they're ugly. I don't have a strong
Okay, well, I'm not
opinion
going
about
to I'm not going to attack it, because if it's your wife, I'm not going to attack her.
Smart.
The person to attack, the target is you.
Don't you think
And
most ceiling fans are ugly though?
I think ours look fine. Plus, they
Like
do a
what-
service that I rather enjoy.
Yeah.
I like them sucking the heat up, pushing the heat down and sucking the air up and just mixing
All right.
things up in the room so it doesn't get stagnant. But getting up on like a half ladder to clean them off, like it's just it's almost impossible to get them cleaned correctly and without making a further mess. So it sucks. I hate doing it.
I get it.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it. All right, what's your other one? What's next? Fluffing pillows?
No, like the conventional thing that people hate, I actually love doing the laundry. You know, if you define doing the laundry as putting the dirty clothes in the washer and then hoping that someone else will fold them when it's done. I enjoy that.
I have one of those boards and a bucket out back, and I put them on a clothesline when I'm done. No, I'm kidding.
You got
so what's your number 1?
My number 1 is cleaning behind the toilet. Not cleaning the toilet. I enjoy cleaning the toilet. It's satisfying. When you finish the job, you're like, hey, I accomplished something. What I do not like is getting behind the toilet and seeing all of the sort of mist, missing the target mess.
It's called urine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's
poo
gross.
and like
I don't want to
poo
be
residue that
that's
splashes
right.
around.
Is that an issue? Is
if you don't close the toilet when you flush,
huh?
You're getting poo mist flowing flying all over the place if you don't close the lid on the toilet.
Yeah. All right. Well, you've confirmed why I don't like it. That is my number 1. That's gross.
I'm shocked that I'm starting to sense some inconsistencies here, because you have people for the other jobs, but you don't have people to clean the toilet?
Well, I have people who do
That's
this
weird.
too, but I had to pick 3 things, and when you don't do anything around the house, then you got to stretch a little bit. So.
I would have thought your number one would have been like drying your ascot. That's what I thought would have been like number one for you.
I highly recommend getting people to solve these issues for you. Works out real good. Paul Fletcher, always a pleasure. Really hope that, a puck doesn't go flying at anybody sitting on the sideline today. Anybody who looks sort of like you.
Anybody that looks remotely like Santa, you hope that they don't get hit by a puck.
Hey, best of luck to Orono. I'll be cheering for him tonight.
Wow. Why would you take my transgressions out on the boys of the 612? That's what I want to know.
That's fair. I rescind.
Yeah, that is.
I rescind.
And you know what? I will happily take a puck in the grill if they get a win.
That's
I
right.
truly will.
All right, go get him tonight. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Lots of texts. It's sick. Paul was fired up.
Yeah, he was getting after you.
Spring yard dog cleanup, cleaning the sand out of the bottom of the water softener salt tank. That's bad. The worst is the oven, then windows and screens, then the refrigerator. Cleaning out the refrigerator that's a tough one. Where you have to face the fact that you've been storing that sauce that you're never, ever going to use. Another texter says, overspray is kind of gross, but cleaning the koi pond after the raccoons have been in there is not pretty. Oh, goodness. Shoveling snow is the worst household job. Blowing snow's okay. Plowing snow's okay. Shoveling snow sucks. It's all very good. Laundry pretty much takes care of itself, says one texter, unless you have to go to a river to wash on the rock.
So today we have Albert from UCare to help decomplicate Medicare plans for people who are just starting to learn about it. Tell me a little bit about Original Medicare and Medicare supplement plans.
Original Medicare is designed to cover about 80% of your overall medical expenditures. And then you have your Medicare supplement plans. They're designed to help cover the other 20% that Medicare leaves off. Most other costs are covered under your supplement plan. They do offer a nationwide coverage as well. They will be accepted anywhere that Original Medicare is accepted. Medicare supplement plans will provide a level of predictability instead of thinking about co-pays and constant costs. You pay your monthly premium one time a month and your medical costs are mostly covered.
So why should someone go with UCare?
So UCare does have competitive rates. Some of the lowest rates statewide that you can find, no-cost fitness options and hearing aid discounts, and a large dedicated broker network that's willing to take all the time needed to help you find the right plan to secure your long-term health goals.
For more, contact a local broker and visit ucare.org.
Attention small business owners needing financing. Swish Funding is providing funds for expansion, inventory, increased overhead, even slow cash flow to small businesses all over America with affordable funding as soon as one business day. And we're ready to help with funding from $10,000 to $2 million. If you've been in business for 1 year or more with a monthly income of at least $25,000, you can get the affordable funding you need with no collateral. Go to swishfunding.com today. That's swishfunding.com.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
The frequency, AM 830 and 1029 HD2. The call letters, WCCO. The station, News Talk 830 WCCO. Minneapolis, St. Paul.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. The cuts to the federal government and workforce aren't over yet. Erica Brown begins our coverage.
President Trump says more government workers will soon be fired.
We're cutting down the size of government. We have to. We're bloated. We're sloppy. We have a lot of people that aren't doing their job. We have a lot of people that don't exist.
The announcement came as he held the first cabinet meeting of his second term.
Correspondent Nancy Cordes on where some of those cuts will come from.
President Trump said at one point that he had spoken to the head of the EPA, Lee Zeldin, former congressman from the state of New York, and that Zeldin had told him that he thinks he can cut 65% of the staff at EPA.
And Trump said Ukraine's president will come to Washington on Friday to sign that deal that will give the U.S. access to Ukraine's mineral wealth.
I'm watching soldiers being killed, Ukrainian and Russian soldiers being killed. My number one thing is to get that stuff. My number two thing is I don't want to have to pay any more money.
The measles outbreak in Texas has turned deadly, as Matt Piper reports.
Doctors say the child was not vaccinated. It is the first death in the measles outbreak that began late last month and the first in the U.S. since 2015. Dr. Lara Johnson with Covenant Health in Lubbock says they can only say the death was of a school-aged child.
Measles is very serious. There are lots of childhood rashes and fevers, and as parents, we all know that our kids get these here and there. This is not that. This is a much more serious illness.
She says they have about 20 people hospitalized right now with measles. Matt Piper, CBS News.
There was more bad news for American consumers today. The price of coffee is at a 50-year high. Economist Peter Goodman says climate change is partly to blame.
Rains have come at the wrong time in some places. Cold snaps have followed early springs, and in other places, there's just a lot of volatility.
Egg prices could jump 41% this year, according to the USDA. Stephanie Rose, who manages a cake shop, says they're trying not to pass on those costs.
We know a lot of other people are financially struggling, so in order to make it, we're just trying to keep it at a minimum of where we're at right now with the price.
In the Middle East, another swap is taking place, with Israel releasing Palestinian prisoners in exchange for the bodies of 4 hostages from Gaza. The Pope remains hospitalized in Rome. He's being serenaded by his supporters outside the hospital. The Vatican says he's shown further slight improvement. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Mostly clear, 53 degrees at 5:03. I'm Laura Oakes. A warning today from the newly sworn-in U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi to Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. In a letter, Bondi says she has put Minnesota on notice over its plan to not comply with President Trump's executive order that bans transgender athletes from participating in girls' and women's sports. Ellison says complying with that order would violate the state's Human Rights Act.
Because I'm the Attorney General, because I'm a lawyer, my whole life is defending and filing lawsuits. So when somebody threatens a lawsuit, I'm like, okay, it's Tuesday. So what? Personally, I think our case has a lot of merit. I think we will win, and I look forward to the challenge.
The city of St. Paul is joining San Francisco in suing President Trump over an executive order about immigration enforcement that threatens to withhold more than $200 million in federal funding for the city. The suit follows President Trump's calling Mayor Melvin Carter and other local leaders sick politicians for not cooperating with immigration mandates. Carter tells WCCO's Adam and Jordana no city employee is allowed to ever ask a resident's immigration status for good reason.
Anything that makes your neighbor think they should be afraid to call 911 if they see something on fire or see somebody being hurt or something like that, it makes you less safe.
Carter says the president's actions are disgusting, insulting, and laughable if they weren't so dangerous. A bill with bipartisan support at the Capitol would crack down on homeowners associations, or HOAs. Republican state senator and realtor Eric Lucero sharing some outrageous stories from constituents today, including a woman who left her garbage bin at the end of her driveway only to return to find she had been ticketed.
There was a fine assessed, and it escalated to a whopping total of $56. And with that $56, the HOA board decided to initiate the foreclosure process.
The bill and others came out of a task force set up last year to address the problem. Racial covenants, archaic wording still in thousands of Minnesotans' house deeds, at one point meant to keep minorities from buying the home. Our Mark Fry with more on a group trying to erase them.
29 Minnesota cities are part of the Just Deeds Coalition, which helps discharge covenants free of charge.
Each of those cities talks about this history and kind of does community engagement with their
community members about this history.
Maria Cisneros is a co-founder of Just Deeds and says local governments played a critical role when first establishing these racial covenants.
We've seen a lot of leaders at the city level really take seriously their responsibility to also own creating solutions to this problem, because city government was part of creating the issues.
And now cities across the country are following Minnesota's lead and pursuing their own covenant discharge efforts.
I've had people come in and show me pictures of the house. They live in the house. Their grandparents built the house. They know the whole history of the house, and they can't believe that the covenant was in place. And it's just such a meaningful thing for those people to discharge the covenant.
Mark Fry, News Talk 830 WCCO.
In WCCO News Time is 5:06.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Crash in place, 610 eastbound near 169. Activity off to the right side. Traffic is jammed through the area. Remains pretty much on the slow side as you make way between the area 169 heading out toward Broadway. If you're going to be traveling east 36, got some heavy stuff there. 280 over to Lexington. 394 eastbound jammed up as you come in from 100 into your downtown Minneapolis. South 35W slowing as you make way out of Bloomington past 86, heading down toward the Minnesota River Bridge. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
And here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
After our warmest day so far this year, we'll cool down for the next few. Mostly cloudy down to 33 tonight, 47 tomorrow. Still above average, but it's going to be breezy. Northwest wind 10 to 15. Flat out windy on Friday. Talking about winds gusting over 30 miles per hour. We should hit 47 and then cool down this weekend.
Mostly clear right now, 53 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
More facts, fewer cat videos. Keep up on what matters to you on all our social pages. News Talk 830 WCCO. No suit, no tie, just DeRusha. It's Drive Time. Live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
You're watching the cool, brainwashing 12-year-old and younger station that hides behind a slick image. We're so cool that we decide what's cool. And now, here's your host,
Jason DeRusha.
Tell you, it's been one of those days. I started with physical therapy at 7:40 in the morning. When you turn 50, if you don't have physical therapy appointments, I mean, are you even 50? Have you even entered that decade of life? My shoulder is going to be amazing. The stretches I'm doing. So I'm doing physical therapy. Then I go to Livia. Then I go to tour this amazing Institute for the Developing Brain at University of Minnesota. And while I'm just flitting about doing my thing, big news that there will be no Senator Tim Walz. That story kicks off the lead on
Now, time to get you caught up on some of the biggest stories of the day. These are the DeRush Hour headlines.
Good evening. Our top story.
This just in.
Our top story.
We begin tonight with.
We begin tonight.
We begin tonight. We begin tonight.
We begin with the lead.
And our top story is the news from the Walz administration early this morning that there will be no race for U.S. Senate from Governor Tim Walz. He may run again as governor. I'm skeptical. We'll see. Let's bring in Abu Amara, a political analyst, a Democratic strategist who joins us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline. Abu, do you think he'll really run for a third term as governor?
I think there's a strong chance. So first, thanks for having me on. Always good to be on. I think there's a real strong chance for two reasons. One is he's sitting on $1 million in the campaign bank.
True.
That is nearly unprecedented. Point number one. And point number two is if you look at the polling, right, there's a lot of noise, but if you look at the polling, he's still above water. He's got about a 52% approval rating, and he's got about a 10% advantage, meaning more favorable than not. And that number really hasn't changed if you go back to the election of 2024 with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And so the fundamentals look to be good and the money looks to be good. I think he's in a position to run.
Were you surprised that he decided not to run for Senate?
I wasn't. I think he's experienced D.C. in kind of being one of a large group, right? And so in D.C., you're just a vote, whereas when you're leading a state, every day you wake up and people follow you in a direction. And I think if he wants to have an impact, particularly in the context of Trump wanting to take on the federal administration, it's easier to do that from state capitals than it is to do it from the legislative body in D.C.
I was thinking about that too, Abu, where I would a million times over rather be the governor of a state than a U.S. senator.
Hands down, if you're a politician who wants to make an impact, it's a lot easier to do it when you're one of one, as opposed to being one of 538 politicians out in D.C. And so, again, if you want to make that impact, I think it's easier to do here in the state. And remember, the Democrats right now in D.C. have no power. They don't have power in the House. They don't have power in the Senate. They don't have the presidency. The only levers of power they have are really in the state government.
Now, what I'm intrigued about is that Governor Walz has certainly taken on more of a role as a national pundit, appearing on national TV shows, running for governor again. I suppose you see some governors taking that national platform. I guess I was just curious if maybe he would just say, I've had a good run. No governor ever gets to 3 terms. There's a story blowing up on social media now that I guess on Alpha News has this recording of him saying the country is being stolen, quote, by fascists and Nazis at a Nurses Association Day on the Hill on Tuesday. I just, some of the way he talks feels more like national pundit than trying to bring people together, governor. But I don't know. I guess that's why I'm maybe a little skeptical that he's going to give it another go.
Look, there's still a possibility that he doesn't run, right? I'm giving you what I think is the more likely scenario. But there's another shot where he says, you know what? If I'm planning on potentially running for president in 2028, I don't want to have to expose myself to an election where maybe I could lose. I've run 2 terms. I have a lot of things to sell on the campaign trail. Say I'm not going to run for a 3rd term and spend the next year and a half really talking to Democratic constituencies like the nurses that you just talked about and really building up his bona fides to maybe run for president.
So what does this do for the race for Senate? Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan is the only Democrat who's officially declared. I think a lot of people are watching Representative Angie Craig, who I think would be a strong candidate for governor. She's someone where I think I don't know. Does she want to run for Senate or run for governor? I think she'll be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, so I think for a lot of people, Governor Walz is really the start of the race, right? And so for so many donors, Democratic voters, they've been waiting to see what he does. Had he jumped in the race for Senate, there would have been a whole situation of folks running around, jumping around to this race or that race. The fact that he's not running for Senate now, I think clears the lane for folks like Angie Craig, clears the lane for folks like Melissa Franzen to get into the race, because now they can say to the donors, hey, you know what? I know you love Tim Walz. He's actually not in the race. Now you can support me on my campaign. So really, it just clears the lane for folks now to jump into this race. I suspect you'll see 2 or 3 more names in the next 4 to 5 months in the race because the governor's not running.
Very interesting. Abu Amara is with us. You're a Democrat, but on the Republican side, the main question for them, I think, is quality of candidate, right? Like the conditions nationally and the conditions in the state are ripe for a tight race for Senate and a tight race for governor. But the question is always like, who actually runs? Do you have goofballs or do you have real candidates this time?
Candidate quality has been a huge thing for the Republicans. I mean, if you go back to the last time they won statewide in 2006, it was with Tim Pawlenty, a moderate, a pragmatic, temperamentally moderate kind of guy, right? Even if you didn't agree with him, you kind of liked him. And since then, they've really run some pretty extreme folks. And so I think candidate quality is going to have to be a big piece of that. The other piece is money. Unlike the Democratic state party with Ken Martin, the Republican Party in Minnesota literally gets outraised 4 to 1, 5 to 1, 6 to 1, year after year after year. And so whoever jumps in that Senate race is going to have to be able to say, I alone can bring in $1 million, $2 million, $3 million into this race. And so it's a combination of those 2 things. It's the money and the candidate quality. It's going to come down to that to have a shot to win statewide.
Does that say Michelle Tafoya because of name recognition and her ability to galvanize national money? Does that give her an inside look?
Look, there's no question. I think she's a stronger candidate than who they ran last cycle. I think the problem is, though, she's going to run into some sticking points. For example, as I understand it, she's pro-choice. And I think that's an issue within not the voters overall, but when you start to get into Republican conventions, right? Those are issues that can actually be out of step with the Republican base. And so, you kind of got to do a two-step here. You've got to appeal to the base of Republican voters. And at the same time, you've got to be able to reach a broader universe of folks. And if you can, that's going to be a tough task for any Republican in the state of Minnesota.
Last question. Who does Walz pick as a running mate? Now that Lieutenant Governor Flanagan is going to run for Senate, that means there will be a new running mate if Governor Walz runs again.
Well, that's what we think right now. And so, look, obviously she's in the race, but the governor doesn't ultimately have to make that decision for almost another year or so, right? And so this is still
and why would he early? You don't want to tell everyone you're a lame duck. You may as well run it out, right?
Exactly. And so I think we won't hear on the LG front. There are a lot of names you could think about, but I think it's way too early. I think that the race for Senate and the other races happening state legislature are really going to impact, I think, ultimately who the governor picks as the next lieutenant governor to run on his ticket.
Great insight as always. Love having you on. Thanks, Abu.
Always good to hear from you, buddy.
Abu Amara. Awesome. It's time for story 2 in the lead. And this is the fallout from that just horrendous water main break in South Minneapolis that has a bunch of businesses deciding what on earth are they going to do. Charlie Broder joins us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker hotline. His family owns Terzo. And Charlie, thanks for being with us. How bad is the damage to Terzo?
Hey, Jason, thanks so much for having me. The damage to Terzo is catastrophic.
The water, yeah, it's that bad. I mean, that sounds awful, and it is awful, right?
Yeah, it is awful. And before anything about Terzo, our thoughts and our hope, is really with the tenants of the building that have lost their homes, hopefully temporarily, and we hope that they can get back in as soon as possible, as well as our neighbors and the retail businesses next to us. I mean, it's just heartbreaking to see Paperback Exchange and Sparrow, our close friends and neighbors, just be so affected, let alone Terzo, which, when your basement fills with water to the very top, and a lot of your operational infrastructure is in the basement, it becomes very, very challenging to start to see the recovery efforts here.
I'm looking at the picture that you posted on the Terzo Facebook page, and people who are watching the stream on X or on the WCCO radio YouTube channel can see that as well right now. And it is like sort of the nightmare of a basement flooding and that water coming all the way up the stairway. What did you have down there?
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason why we put out pictures was because we could try to tell people what it was like, but the pictures really convey the extent of the damage. It's just mind blowing, really. Like, this is an abnormal event. We've been talking to the city about that. When it comes to the basement, foundation wall fell in, and that's what allowed for hundreds of thousands of gallons to pour into the building and then fill the basement, as well as run out into the street and fill the alley and people's homes. I mean, it is just devastating. So for us in our basement, we had walk-in coolers down there. We had our office, we had dry storage, we had, backup storage for smallwares, etc., and everything it takes to, present for an evening service, as well as prepare for a week's worth of restauranting, is gone. And that's really tough. Walk-in coolers, stand-up freezers, all sorts of equipment, etc.
This is Charlie Broder. We're talking about Terzo, and you posted the picture of the city putting the intent to condemn. You got to assume the building is just going to be like almost impossible to repair when you have water damage. And people saw, I think a lot of our listeners saw that live coverage that morning when the water main broke. I mean, were you at home how did you find out about it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was stirred pretty early to the news. By the time I got down there, luckily the water had somewhat been controlled, but I mean, the devastation was very clear. I've never seen anything like it in my whole life. So let alone thinking it could impact or just evaporate, one of our restaurants. It was just jaw dropping.
18 inches of water in the main dining room, that massive water main break. Obviously, the city is still investigating sort of what's going on, what caused it. But, like, you have to make some tough decisions, right? I mean, obviously, Terzo, best case scenario, this building doesn't get fixed up, and assuming it's got to, who knows? Does it have to be knocked down? Do they build in? I mean, kind of what are some of the questions you're thinking about here?
That's a great question. We've been in limbo and not having a lot of certainty for quite a while. Water events are tricky to navigate with insurance, etc. So that's been something to learn about. Very interesting. I want to say that the city of Minneapolis has been just extraordinary. Their response the day of was coordinated, very serious. They took it extremely seriously right away, and were able to support, finding the cause, figuring it out, and have been supporting us and the other business owners. Linnea Palmisano, we appreciate having her as a representative on the city council. This is unlike anything we've ever been able to deal with. There's a couple feet of the entirety of our dining room, on the walls that need to be removed for water damage mitigation. We don't know if the floor needs to be removed. The building itself needs to be structurally sound. So I believe a structural engineer has weighed in on that, and there is a way to repair the building, I believe. But I mean, I can't speak to that. The building owners will have to speak to that. But it is just, I mean, I don't know what the timeline looks like. We don't know what a lot of things look like. And we're just taking it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, updating our team members. That's, something that we're really, what would a best case scenario be? Well, without it being that this never happened, we want to ensure that our team members are supported to the greatest extent we can. We're advocating very hard for that with our insurance company, and we're hoping for some support for them. But that compared with the timeline of repair for the, and compared with the timeline of our ability to rebuild a restaurant, it's very hard to put these things together and start to see a pathway. So we're just taking it one day at a time, one bit of information at a time, and hoping for the best and advocating as best we can.
There's a
for ourselves as well as for our team members.
There's a GoFundMe to help the team members out. Your insurance will hopefully cover some of the lost wages for them and all of that. So if people want to check out the GoFundMe, that's pretty easy to find out there.
Please do. Yeah. The Terzo team, I can't speak highly enough, about every individual on that team. They were fighting for this restaurant. They were a part of its soul. They really took ownership of this, entity. And we're like, it's just this is not how we would have ever wanted this to happen. And so if people want to support the team, please, please, please do go find that Terzo GoFundMe. It's very easy to find. Just search Terzo GoFundMe. You'll find it right away. And, that team established that GoFundMe independently. We support that very much for them. We don't have clarity to provide for them. So any bridge that they'll have in terms of finding, understanding what their work situation, et cetera, looks like, we just want them to be whole as much as possible and less stressed out as they can be.
Charlie, thank you. We appreciate it. We'll be thinking about your people and your team, and you know how much I love Terzo, so I think a lot of people are sad.
I'm so sorry, but your bar stool's gone, Jason.
I know, Matt. That is rough. That is rough. It seems crass to ask about the wine. I hope you didn't lose too much wine in that thing.
As you know, the major one priority was save the wine. So we were able to save some bottles, and I'll be pulling those corks as we keep filing paperwork. I think the Broder family will have some things coming up in the future. I really hope that we could do that.
We'll have you back to talk about it. Charlie, thank you. DeRush Hour page 2 coming up in just a minute, including probation officers in St. Paul who are talking about going on strike, and big news for 2 former bakery locations coming up.
Drive Time with DeRusha is hitting the off-ramp for a quick stop on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Come with me to Greece. Let's do it. Oppa! Everybody give me an oppa. I will do that Well, it depends on if you want me to do that or not. It's Jason DeRusha here for Colette. October 12th, Alyssa, me, and you. We're going to Greece. 3 nights in Athens, 3 nights each on Mykonos and Santorini. Athens has so much history. We will explore that beautiful ancient city. I will give you personalized restaurant and bar recommendations. And then we go off the sun-drenched island of Mykonos and the bright rooftops of Santorini. You're getting island life. You're getting traditional music. I love Greek food. Oh, the cuisine is so good. So much fresh fish. Beautiful, beautiful feta. A real Greek gyro, not what we get here. Colette covers all the details, from flights to meals to hotels, local experience. We just have a blast. Don't miss your chance because seats are going. Go to WCCOradio.com/Greece. Make today the day. Let's do it. WCCOradio.com/Greece.
We've all got a thing. Yes, even you. If you love fashion, car parts, trading cards, whatever you're into, it's on eBay. So go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
If only there was an easy guide to follow to sell your home for thousands of dollars more than you otherwise could. Oh, wait, there is. Hey, it's Vanita. You've been hearing me talk about my buddy, the Good Neighbor agent, John Schuster of the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. Those home sellers forums that I've told you about that really work. Scott and Renee went to one and followed John's blueprint for success. There are 5 different marketing options for you to choose from, and all of them work. Scott and Renee really benefited from them. Their home sold for more than $10,000 over the asking price. Trusting the John Schuster Group was the right decision for them. He knows what he's doing. His team, they know what they're doing. Contact John for full details. 952-222-9000. Online, johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. johnschustergroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Although Barbra Streisand and Frank Sinatra never shared the stage, their musical legacies come together in Barbra and Frank, the concert that never was, starring Sharon Owens and Sebastian Anzaldo. This can't-miss tribute features sensational performances of the powerhouse vocalist's biggest hits, captivating duets, and witty banter. See what could have been become reality at Treasure Island Resort and Casino on Friday, February 28th. Get your tickets at TICasino.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this important announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
Even now, when you hear him,
he's fine now.
He's grown on me as far as being an announcer.
He's getting better because when he first started, I was like,
ooh, it's rough.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
DeRush Hour News headlines. Page 2, probation officers in St. Paul want a raise or they're going on strike.
Fighting for justice. Fighting for justice. And a fair contract. And a fair contract.
That's pretty good. That's better than the what do we want contract. When do we want it now? Pioneer Press reporting they got one more round of negotiations on Monday. More than 200 probation officers, Teamsters Local 320, they're mad at Ramsey County. One more mediation. That's it. They get until the end of March to initiate a strike. Union officials say they want wage parity with Hennepin County probation officers and overtime parity with other correctional institution personnel in Ramsey County. Other issues are professional development and seniority. A bakery and a spa are not one thing. One bakery and one spa are taking over 2 locations of an iconic brand that's really fallen apart.
Hey everyone. It's
It's Barman Dave here. And people always ask me, how do you keep such a silky smooth face and such a fine physique?
Sure, I get asked the same thing all the time. This is so weird. So Richard Hahn and Michelle Lou bought the Willette near 50th in France in Minneapolis for $2.65 million. They're opening a luxury male spa, which sounds relevant to my interest and also sounds questionable. Apparently, they're going to do head massages. This is a hot trend, according to Richard. I don't know. I go get a head massage, a head spa. A lot of you guys have been telling me I need to stick my head in a spa. The more understandable replacement is in downtown Wayzata, where Rustica, from our friends at Jester Concepts, Rustica has taken over that Wayzata spot. 30 seating for 30 inside, and then more on the patio when it warms up. And Jester has said they are looking for more spots to put Rustica around the Twin Cities. Could someone please turn down the lights? Robbinsdale residents say their new water tower is too bright. Looks like a giant lightsaber, or the bat signal, or a supersized nightlight. They turned the lights on last spring, days after the city shut it down because neighbors were complaining. Now, Robbinsdale bought like a control panel so they could dim it and do different stuff. Monday night, council members, about 30 neighbors, gathered on the street to look at the water tower and see, what's it look like full power? What's it look like dimmed? What if we change the color? You know, it's like if someone puts a new street light outside your window and you know that the street looks good, but you are mad. City spent about $120,000 on the lights that people in Birdtown are like, too bright. Turn the lights down. That's the DeRush Hour News headlines. We're going to break. When we come back, our friend Tracy Perlman. It's time for Tracy's Takes. We're going to talk about if it's rude to text someone overnight and what things named after Canada should we change? Because you won't believe what Canada is doing to us. I'm outraged. Outraged when we come back.
More Drive Time with DeRusha is on the way following these messages on News Talk 830 WCCO.
At the University of Minnesota, our goal is to make sure what happens in Minnesota doesn't stay in Minnesota, because the discoveries we're making have implications for the health of the world. From the cancer-detecting AI model we built in Rochester, to how we're redefining mental health in Morris, to breakthroughs we're making in Crookston, Duluth, and the Twin Cities. Our discoveries start here, but they make the world healthier everywhere. The University of Minnesota, driven to discover.
For a spring training getaway that's truly major league, stay at Luminary Hotel and Company in downtown Fort Myers, Florida. Just a short drive from the ballparks, it's the perfect home base for baseball fans. With luxury accommodations along the Caloosahatchee River, 7 top-tier dining options, and a walkable downtown full of shops and activities, you'll have plenty to do between games. As a member of Marriott's Autograph Collection, the Luminary Hotel is in a league of its own. Plan your getaway now at luminaryhotel.com.
Many listeners have asked me what CBD products I use, and I am so happy to be able to share them with you on the radio. Jordana Green here. I really want to destigmatize CBD and reveal compelling health benefits, benefits that I've experienced. I use MiniLeaf. Check out minileaf.com, MINNELEAF.com. I use these products. I would not recommend them to you if I didn't. Mark has used them. We have both experienced the benefits from the Triple Diamond Pain Cream. Such relief. And also those Sleep Night gummies. The best night's sleep I have had in a while. No pharmaceuticals needed. Check out the true benefits of CBD. You can see they're 100% natural MiniLeaf's products, and you can look at the studies on the website. MiniLeaf.com. MINNELEAF. Tell them Jordana sent you.
MiniLeaf means quality. Taste happy at MiniLeaf.com.
The home of Minnesota's best legal products.
What if your limited inventory had unlimited potential? What if your biggest risk was not taking one? What if you could make every move matter? Bank of America's business solutions can help bring your biggest what ifs within reach. Find out how our digital tools, cutting edge insights, and trusted expertise can work for your business. What would you like the power to do? Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. Call 800-894-3737. That's 800-894-3737.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Getting word of a crash west 94 near Groveland. Be on the lookout for that. Your slowdown's already in place as you come away from Franklin Avenue. Traveling South 35E. Get ready for heavy stuff as you come out of downtown St. Paul toward Highway 13. The crosstown pulling on the slow side of things as you travel either direction between Tracy Avenue and Cedar Avenue. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Washburn McCravey invites you to a free seminar for pre-planning your funeral and cremation services to help protect your family in the future. Enjoy food, visit with speakers at the Nokomis Park Chapel, Tuesday, March 4th at noon. For information, go to washburnmccravey.com. Seating is limited.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Weather is brought to you by Washburn McCravey Funeral, Cremation, and Pre-Planning Services. Here's Chris Schaefer.
Today has been our warmest day so far this year. Get out there and enjoy it. 33 is the average high. That's going to be our low tonight. Still mild tomorrow with a high of 47, but the wind is going to pick up. It's going to be very windy as a cold front passes on Friday. Talking about wind gusts over 30 miles per hour. That's going to drag in some cooler air, too. Only a high of 32 on Saturday.
It is 51 degrees on CCO.
Drive Time with DeRusha resumes now on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Yes. So crazy right now. Most incredible.
Tracy Perlman is with us, our weekly visit. Tracy's Takes. We're still working on the name for this. Tracy, it's good.
All right.
It's good to have you here. We're streaming live on YouTube and on the WCCO radio channel. We'd love if you give us a subscribe on WCCO radio, but you can see it on Twitter and on Facebook as well. You can see your glamorous home. You look very glamorous here. Very TV ready.
Do I? Thank you.
I believe
I showered.
I believe I've been in that room for a baby shower for somebody.
You have. Before I had that artwork there, we used to just put signs up on the wall. So yeah, Kate Ranitz's baby shower was here, and Katie Steiner, Ali Lucia. I've had many.
You've had many baby showers at that house.
I love a party. Yeah.
It's good. Our first topic is the Canadian coffee shop. A coffee shop based in Toronto has canceled the Americano. The Americano is a beverage made with espresso shots and water. So it's sort of like coffee, but different. But they have changed.
Easier on your tummy.
They have changed the Americano, and now they are calling it a Canadiano. Canadiano. Is this a solid protest, or what do we think about that?
It has us talking, so I think it's effective.
It's a win.
Right? It's a win for the Canadians. Is this like when we started calling French fries freedom fries?
I think that's right. It did make me think, like, what are some other things, maybe named after Canada, that we should change, like, as part of, hey, if you're going to take it to us, we're going to stick it to you.
Yeah. Remember clearly Canadian drinks? Like clearly not Canadian.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Or Canada Goose, the jackets. We could start calling it like the Colorado Goose or
yeah. How about
I don't know, Northern Minnesota, 51st State Goose.
There you go. International
Really,
Falls Goose, like just steal it. I like that. We could get Canadian bacon. We could probably replace Canadian bacon.
Or the walleye, like, you know, I think it's a state law in Minnesota that our walleye that's served at restaurants has to be Canadian. So, so maybe we just start calling it Minnesota walleye, and we don't care where it's from.
That's true. I think
Are
you're
we
allowed.
passive aggressive for that?
I mean, the freedom for we did change the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, so
yeah,
so
who cares anymore? We can call it whatever we want.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about maple syrup, though? Because I don't think I want to give up maple syrup. And that is like their top fun export. Like, yeah, they have petroleum and stuff like that, but I don't want to give up maple syrup.
We think about Canadian whiskey, maybe like blended whiskey from Canada. Isn't that is it called Canadian Club? I believe Canadian Club.
Yeah, or Windsor Canadian whiskey.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
From the Saints. Remember the Saints games had the Canadian Windsor Civ?
Yes. We got to get rid of all of this. I am still trying to figure this out. I grew up in a time that our enemy was Russia. And now my friend from Toronto gave me the best line to use. He said that I could use this on the show.
Yeah.
But that we are pro-Putin and anti-Poutine.
Oh.
That's pretty good. That's pretty
very
good. I like that's very nice.
Very good.
Tom Linneman, nice
me
work.
Some Justin Trudeau. He just has such wonderful eyes, good hair.
You know, this is
Lovely
just typical. Like
I know.
Oh, the pretty guy.
Just treating us all as objects. We got minds, Tracy.
I'm so
sick. I know.
It's
exhausting. You know what? He has a political mind.
Yeah.
He has a political mind. He's a very accomplished man.
It is exhausting being objectified in this manner.
I know. I'm sorry. I can't help it. It's just how I am. So sorry.
Is it rude to send a text overnight? I was listening to Adam Carter earlier today. Outraged. Well, first of all, he sets up this segment saying that he got a text overnight. And then he drilled down and said he got a text at 5 a.m. I'm like, 5 a.m. is not overnight.
No, I get up at 5 a.m.
Yes. So you
That's
get it. All
morning.
right. So this is a good, your expertise is right on here. As someone who's up at 5 a.m, you probably have times where you think, I got to send a text. Do you send it at 5 a.m?
Yeah.
You do?
I sure. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because my friends that are up at like 2 a.m. beep, 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 beep. So here's the thing. My phone, because I'm a millennial, my phone's always on vibrate. You would not know my phone ring if it is ever on is the Super Mario's theme song, but it's always on vibrate. So if it's sitting there, I don't wake up to a text. I will wake up to a call, like the repeated buzzing, and then my alarm obviously goes off on my phone. I don't wake up to a text. So whether you're texting me or it's a social media notification, it's all the same, like, and then it's done. I won't wake up to it. If you're going to wake up to it, then put your phone on personal or sleep mode. You know, you just have to call twice if it's an emergency.
Right.
Wake somebody
so
up.
I go into sleep mode, like from 11 o'clock until 7 a.m. I'm in sleep mode. And on the weekend, I give myself an extra half hour, very luxurious, till 7. I'm 50. Like, how late am I sleeping? Right? Like at a certain point, nature's calling and I'm getting up. This
you got things to do.
I had stuff.
Yeah.
So I do agree that it's mostly on the recipient that you can control your own phone. But I do think it's sort of rude to like send it if you're up in the middle of the night and it's 3 a.m. It's sort of rude to send a text at 3 a.m. You can time your text now. You can send a text. I know Android users are like, well, actually, we've been
doing this for a long time, Jason.
But we finally have this on the iPhone, so you can schedule.
I had no idea.
Yeah, you can schedule a text. Now, if you know someone's up, that's fine. But like, I think it's pretty you wouldn't do it at 2 a.m., would you?
Sometimes. Also, don't blow my phone up. If you're going to send a note like, hey, so you see this in the morning, XYZ, like, am I bringing, I texted my best friend the other night, can I bring my dog over to your house tomorrow or should I bring her to camp? Like, what am I doing? I need to know in the morning first thing. But don't like blow my phone up with like, let me tell you the story about some workplace gossip.
Like at 1 a.m.
But like that's no. But like, how's that any different than like my friends who send me memes at all time of night? My phone's still buzzing.
So like
I wake up to like 7 Instagram messages.
Huh. Interesting. I hadn't considered that. I think a lot of us don't have Instagram set to notify when you get a message. Like I don't have that. I don't get notified.
I'm not that popular. So
I mean, I get so many people are DMing me all the time.
Just sliding into those DMs.
Yes.
I also think that like I've had a cell phone since I was in 7th or 8th grade, and so not that we were DMing at that time, but like having a phone and constantly being connected is something that
it's just
I'm
normal.
just kind of used to. Yeah, we all, I won't call somebody until if I know that they're up early.
So what's the difference? So how is this different from a call? Why would you not call someone?
Calls feel more intrusive. Like you have to answer. I'm not going to leave you a voicemail.
Yeah.
If I text, you can take a look at it whenever you have a second. I don't think you need to text me back within 2 seconds of seeing my text. I don't expect that.
Most of my texts in the overnight hours are very sappy. It's all like, I love you so much. You're such a great friend. I don't take it for granted. Like this is it's a lot of that.
Oh.
And then the next morning I wake up, I'm like, well, that was a little dramatic. Like, sorry.
Oh, hello.
Okay. It may be influenced by the whiskey. I'm just saying. The Canadian Club.
Canadian whiskey?
It's the Canadian Club. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, story that you worked on and your team over at Channel 4 worked on about Michelin star restaurants. Why don't we have one in Minnesota? We'll talk about that when we come back with Tracy Perlman here on CCO.
Jason DeRusha and DriveTime needs to make a brief pit stop on News Talk 830 WCCO.
I got to get to my dermatologist. It's been a bit. I miss him. My friends at Terzo Dermatology are unbelievable. You are going to love the experience with Dr. Mohiba Terzo and her team. There are 7 locations of Terzo Dermatology, and usually I don't bring that up so fast, but one of the things I've heard time and time again from CCO listeners is that they've tried to get an appointment with their regular dermatologist or the dermatologist they saw once 5 years ago. And when they call, they're told you got to wait like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. It's very common in dermatology. At Terzo Dermatology, they guarantee they will get you in within 3 weeks. 3 weeks? That is unheard of. How do they do it? Well, it's because Dr. Mohiba Terzo is such an awesome leader. So many PAs, so many dermatologists want to work for her. They've just added a 7th location in Farmington. Great news, Farmington. You can get in quickly. I've been to the office in Hudson, which is beautiful and new. I go to Roseville. They're in Eagan. They're just all over the place. 7 locations. Go get that dermatology appointment. Get that skin checked up. Make sure you don't have any risk of skin cancer. You can book your appointment. You can do it right now without bothering anyone by sending them a text or calling them. Do it online at Terzo, Tareen, dermatology.com.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or play. Stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelty can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelty?
Just send them a text.
Text LINE to 200-300 to get started today with Zelty. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text LINE to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text LINE to 200-300. That's LINE to 200-300. LINE to 200-300.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
You find slowdowns plays West 94th through downtown Minneapolis coming in from Franklin Avenue, traveling northbound 35W. It's going to be a bit sluggish around 694. South 35W into downtown Minneapolis, that slows at University. If you're up in the northwest corner of the metro, get ready for slowing 94 westbound Hemlock Lane to Weaver Lake Road. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Looking for senior living options? Jordana here. I invite you to check out award-winning New Perspective Senior Living with 10 communities in the Twin Cities metro. They offer you a friendlier approach to senior living. Call 888-229-2298. 888-229-2298.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
New Perspective Senior Living bringing us Chris Schaefer's forecast. It's pretty much going to be the same deal as today, the next 2 days. Tonight, the low is 33. Tomorrow and Friday, we get up to 47. Big change on Saturday down to 32, but we're back in the 40s on Sunday. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. I'm calling it. We're done. Winter's over. We will get one more giant snowfall, though. That's some real information from a real weather expert. It's 48 here on CC.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
I was talking with a legislator about what percentage of Minnesotans we thought actually were paying attention to this. He said 15%. I said that was aggressive.
If that's the number, you take the under.
5%?
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
Tracy Perlman is with us. She's an executive producer, a big shot management type over at Channel 4. You know, nobody knows what an executive producer is, right?
I boss people around. I yell at Frank and Amelia.
Is it weird to yell at Frank and Amelia, or are you just used to it now?
Amelia, yes. Frank, no.
Yeah. What is the number one complaint about Frank and Amelia? Because we know like all the good things about them.
My number one complaint.
Are they
I don't have.
Are they late? Are they late? Are they
serve at the pleasure of the president, who's Amelia?
That's the correct answer.
Yeah, no, she's number one and number two on my list.
Yeah,
so
that's
poor
smart.
Frank sits in between us, so he just doesn't stand a chance at all.
No. We've tackled some very important topics. I will say one texter texted in and said, please stop Canada bashing. You might think you're cute and funny, but not at all. And
listen, I like Bryan Adams, Alanis Morissette, Jim Carrey, Justin Bieber. Is Ryan Reynolds canceled? I don't know if I'm supposed to like him or not, but
I'm unsure. Yeah. Dan, where are we on Ryan Reynolds?
I'm 100% on Team Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We love him too.
So we're fine with Canada. We're fine with Canada. I think
Justin Trudeau.
Yeah. I think it's possible we were more making fun of the current enemyification of Canada.
Yeah, that's about as mean as Canadians get, though. They're like, we're changing the name of our coffee drink.
The Americano must go. Well, they did some booing at our national anthem. I didn't really care for. I didn't care for that.
But then we won the hockey game, so take that.
No, they didn't.
And then they ended up winning the whole thing. So
we beat them the first time.
We did beat them,
and then
we beat them
when they booed.
Time,
It's hard to tell since all those Canadians play for American hockey teams anyway. So who really won? Canada. You know what I'm saying? It's us.
Well,
we still win.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Right.
Except we lost.
Yeah.
Channel 4 and Aaron Hazanzada took a look at why Minnesota doesn't have a restaurant with a Michelin star. A lot of people have been asking about this. There's been an effort to try to bring the Michelin people here. Personally, I don't care. I think it's It's fine if we get it. It's fine. It's relatively cheap to hire the Michelin people to come and do their thing. But I don't care. Do you care?
I don't. I'm actually surprised you don't care.
Yeah. I think we know.
I'm not a foodie.
We know what all the good restaurants, we know what the places that would get a Michelin star. Like this is only important if you're like Demi or Spoon and Stable or Boucheron or Muriel. I will give out all the stars. I will tell you who will get them. And then we don't have, you could pay me $200,000 instead of paying Michelin.
So then here's what I want to know, Jason, because you are the food editor. You are I just go to restaurants. I'm like, I like Olive Garden. Like my bar.
Olive Garden's very good.
Listen, when you're there, your family. And I think that's important.
Yeah. Always good service at the Olive Garden.
Yeah. And the mints at the end of the meal.
So nice.
When you go to a restaurant, or when you go to a Michelin star restaurant, you're supposed to have quality of ingredients, skill in preparation, combination of flavors, all that. If you were to have like a Jason star, what would your criteria be?
Oh, that's such a great question because none of those things. It's like, are you going to comp my meal?
Oh, important. It tastes better when it's free.
Just kidding. Just
but
kidding. I think,
yeah.
Well, the way the Michelin star, so I'm glad you asked this because the way to get a Michelin star, you sort of have to have like a 4 or 5 course tasting menu. It's almost required to get a 1 star.
Yeah.
And I think that that's sort of a boring way to eat. So I don't think that should be the only factor. But I do think service is a big part of it. And I think part of if we get the Michelin people here to rate our restaurants, the danger is that they come and they're like, nobody gets a star. Like that could really happen. In some of these places that have had it, or like Denver or some other city paid for them to come out, and only like 1 restaurant got a star. You're like, oof.
Do we know if they come and reject us?
They wouldn't reject, but because Demi, I think the question is, would Demi get 2 stars or 1 star?
Sure. Like which of Gavin's restaurants would get? I think Awami would get one based on that criteria, don't you?
What makes Awami amazing? I do think the chef who's running the restaurant right now is just killing it. So I think they're in better position than they've ever been. But they'd probably get a star. Muriel would probably get a star. I don't know. Why do we need them? We just told you who it is. Who would you give a star to? Like a Tracy star?
I think young Joni. I think their food is fun and creative.
Yeah.
And Olive Garden.
And Olive Garden. See you later.
Bye.
You're at home. MeritChev.com. You need a vehicle. MeritChev.com. Wherever you are. Merit Chev.